Thank you for listening to the Simply Syndicated Federation. For more great shows like these, visit us at simplysyndicated.com.
Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Little Pod of Horrors. The best idea since premarital sex on Halloween. I got it right. Yay! As always, I am Gordon, and as always, I am joined by Mr. Boz. Hello, sir.
Hello, as usual, I'm frightfully happy to be here.
See what you done there. And this week we are joined by a special guest because we're going to be talking about, or I say we, I'm going to be listening just like you guys are, because Boz is going to be talking about his FrightFest experiences, and we are joined by Matt. Hello, Matt.
Yeah, I had a very nice weekend sitting next to Boz, so it was a good time.
That's good then.
Yeah, he stole somebody's seat. It was awesome.
Yeah, they'd never turned up the entire weekend.
No, I think those seats never got booked, so we were very lucky because we were supposed to be in different screens, and despite some frantic attempts to try and swap tickets to the same screen, because obviously we would have seen films in a completely different order, and just missed each other all day, it would have been a bit
Especially
crap.
since I was staying at yours, it would have been a bit awkward if you had to wait an hour for me. You might have just left me
Exactly,
in London,
yeah.
like, help
me. Sorry, did I ran ahead quick early there? So
No, not at all. I'm glad that the stars aligned and you were managed to actually watch the same movies at the same time and sit together. It makes it better.
It did.
So people, pretty much that's what this show is going to be about, is Mr. Boz and Matt regaling us with tales from FrightFest 2014, and then hopefully giving us a few recommendations of movies to watch from the tweets. If people were following along on the Facebook page, as I was, eagerly, I think it seemed to be you had a pretty good year for your first year, Mr. Boz. Or your first full year. I mean, I know you were there last year for a couple of movies, but for your first proper FrightFest experience, I think you had a pretty good one. Yeah,
we were pretty lucky, I think. There wasn't much utter crap.
It was a very funny year, I'll give it that. It was a bit more of a laugh fest than I was expecting. Not a bad thing,
right?
But I was laughing a lot of the time, which I wasn't expecting on the first night.
Yeah, I mean, there was no martyrs this year. Nothing close.
Okay.
Which by the end of the festival I was actually a little disappointed by.
I was as well.
I was like, come on, show me something fucked up. Come on.
Well, I'm pretty much going to take a back seat, I think, on this and let you talk me through it.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of movies that I've watched since we last recorded, but I think we'll save them because I don't want them to get lost in this. So we do. And I want to rewatch one. I'll give you a quickie on it. It's going to be Haunt. I'm going to want to talk about that one, and I'm going to look to talk about it in some depth, I think.
Oh, good. I'll watch it again as well, then.
Yeah.
Be prepared for that.
If you can, go check out Haunt. It's on the US Netflix. I don't know if it's on the UK one or whatever, but it's definitely on the US one. An interesting one, and it'll be interesting to get some feedback on it. So you've got a few weeks to go watch that and send in any feedback or anything in advance. So please do. But yeah, apart from that, I think we'll have a FrightFest show, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay. Well, talking around the circumstance of, I mean, you did warn me that it's a brutal experience,
yes.
And I think we found the truth of that, especially as we weren't staying in London. But I was blasé going into it because I'm like, I've got a motorcycle, so I can get in and out of London quite quickly.
Yeah.
And in my brain, I'm like, this is a 20-minute ride. Well, it isn't. It never is. It's 40, 45 minutes each way, still. I mean, it is quicker than public transport.
Yes.
But we were not getting in till 1:30, 2 o'clock each morning, and then we were back in Leicester Square for 10 the next morning for 10:30 starts, pretty much. And we did pretty well. Matt did very well, having never been on the back of a motorcycle before.
Yeah, best way to see London, I'm sticking by it. I now want to buy a bike. My mother's crapping herself. So it's, she might not like you very much, but there we go.
Oh dear. That's good. Sorry, Mum. The bit of he saw what it's like to be a biker and get extreme road rage when a stupid woman is driving erratically because she won't get off her mobile phone.
I was swearing with you at that woman. She nearly killed us.
I just tapped on the window as if there was something wrong with her car. So she sort of wound the window down respectfully, and I apologised to any people who were offended by this word. I went, Put your phone down. You're driving like a cunt.
Mr. Bars.
I know, I'm sorry. I wanted to be as offensive as possible because she was dangerous.
Oh, she was weaving. The worst bit was there was like 4 police officers right in front of her when she was doing it.
Yeah, just the opposite side of the road. Oblivious.
Oh, my God.
But she wasn't doing it slowly. That was my objection. She was hoofing it around like a boy racer.
She was going speed limit, if probably over it, so she wasn't going slowly.
Yeah. And just weaving in and out, and I got alongside and I had to have words. So, Policeman Boz, that's what they call me. Anyway. So those factors aside, and the fact that I got 2 parking tickets for parking my bike in London.
What?
Yeah. I'm glad to say that Westminster Council have let me off both.
Hey!
Oh, that's good.
Got confirmation this week, yeah. I did pay, but the stupid online payment system on the telephone thought I was driving a van. It registered the wrong registration against my payment. So, yeah. I said, no, I've paid, please don't charge me 80 quid, because I really can't afford that right now. I'm about to get married. No, I didn't say that, but...
Oh, I meant to tell you something as well about that. You know those credit card machines we use to get cash out? My card got skimmed on one of those.
I didn't.
It did.
No way.
I meant to warn you, actually, to say, but they took my card to overdraft. I went to buy a sandwich and I couldn't get any money, and they tracked it down. They gave me my money back, but they got $2,000 off me. But they redid it. But I meant to tell you that. But it's obviously, I think it was one of the times when they get cash, so it was like, but that's quite a busy concourse, isn't it? So it doesn't surprise me, and many dodgy people about. No offense, it's London. So, but yeah, I meant to tell you that.
Oh, man.
Skim my card, they might have got 30 quid if they were lucky. Anyway, none of this has got anything to do with FrightFest, really. So yeah, obviously this year, first year in 3 different screens, is in the View West End, which is the weirdest little cinema I've ever been to, because you go past the concession stand and then you've got 4 floors of escalators going up and down.
Oh my God.
And my specialty was always walking to the wrong side to go either up or down.
Every time. You didn't get it right once.
We found a little... for a couple of days, we rode the wave of knowing there was a toilet right on the top floor and running up there, and it was nearly always empty when we went in it, so there was no sort of massive queues for toilets, so that was good. And yeah, we realised also once you're sort of past the people downstairs with your festival pass, you pretty much could wander into any screen you wanted anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody was checking your allocated seat tickets. So,
right, that's good.
those seats were actually vacant, so... Matt was fine. If somebody turns up and says, that's my seat, he'd have gone, okay, and gone back to his own screen or whatever. But, you know, that was a risk we were willing to take. Because Matt couldn't get there till the Friday evening, or late afternoon.
About 5:30, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd been there since Thursday night, the start of the thing, and nobody had claimed that seat yet. So I said, look, let's just try it. I went in first, it was empty again, so I texted him and he came in. And they was like, well, if somebody else comes, obviously he'll just give up his seat and go back to his screen, or we'll find another one. But there was one guy who just seemed to sit wherever he felt like.
Yeah, and cause so many arguments.
Yeah, it's like, that's my seat. Well, I'm not moving.
Yeah,
but
you are.
I've paid for that seat. I'm going to get security. I don't think he was all there, bless him.
The guy who we sat in the seat with on our row, the guy was huge. I wouldn't mess with him.
He
was huge.
That was the only slightly unpleasant thing I think we encountered.
I felt quite lucky, because the people in front of us told me the screen I was meant to be in had the reputation of being the smelly screen, because apparently it's got an odour about it, and I was like, I've dodged a bullet there.
Yeah. I spotted something else cool, by the way, Matt. If you look at the FrightFest website, there's a picture from a couple of years ago or a year ago when it was still at the Empire Cinema, and the people sitting in the front row, about 4 of them are the same people who are sitting in front of us. Yeah, they clearly always do the sleepy queue, and they're like, we're in the front, we're sitting at the front.
Yeah, that's what they told us. They went in screen 6, because like people ahead of us were all going for the big screen. Well, screen 6, you're going to get front row, aren't you? So, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the, I suppose, the logistics of it.
I warn you, next year, when I go in the sleepy queue, I want those seats again. I'm going to sit in that seat again. It's my seat now.
Okay.
There we go, I'm claiming it.
I thought we could just try and get the front seats to mess with it. No, that's not very nice. They might be listening.
You can't do that.
I couldn't do that.
You gave out business cards. They probably are.
I did, yes. Yes. Okay, we begin this. We're going to be here all night. So I went Thursday night, which started with The Guest, which has just done general release at the cinema now. And people seem to be digging it. The guy in it is from Downton Abbey. I've never watched that, but apparently he's very good. In this, he's absolutely fantastic. It's the one where it's a soldier goes to a house and says, "Yeah, I served in Iraq with your son, and obviously their son is dead, and he wanted me to come and tell you that he loves you all," you know, and that kind of thing. And they invite him to stay with them. And he becomes a sort of stand-in big brother at first, but you realise there's something really not right with this guy. And he is the coolest sort of... He starts off, you know, you don't fuck with these people, and he starts putting himself in the middle of situations at school, at parties, whatever. It's that kind of trope, but it is just so brilliantly handled. It goes a bit batshit at the end, but in a really good way. It's really enjoyable, and I thought a great start to the festival, because I wasn't that fussed about it, really.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get, you know, to the whole thing, so I thought, well, I'll go and see it, and I'm very glad I did. Following that was Sin City 2, A Dame to Kill For. Scored highly on the boober meter. We saw all of Eva Green. Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that she spends a lot of the time naked.
How much I love
Yes. Yeah, a lot of the time. Yeah, I mean, it's tastefully lit, but yeah. Beyond that, bit disappointing, really. I like the Joseph Gordon-Levitt storyline, but had a very unsatisfying end, but apparently it's true to the comics.
Okay.
A lot of people are slagging off the 3D, saying it was pointless. I actually think it works really well with that style of movie.
Really?
It's like Tron, because you've got lots of like heavy line drawings, it's very easy to bring things forward and push other things back.
Yeah.
The depth of field stuff actually works really well.
That's cool.
And I'm a fan of 3D when it's done like that, so I actually really enjoyed that aspect of it. And, you know, Eva Green's boobs are 3D. No, I'm joking. But, yeah, storyline-wise, plot threads, sort of, it was okay. Wasn't blown away.
Yeah, I've heard that the first one's better and the second one's gonna...
Yeah. So, yeah. That's quite right. And Bruce Willis is completely pointless.
He always is.
It's like, we want Bruce Willis back. It might sell more tickets. So I came out of that and we had a bit of a break, so I thought, well, I'll go get some food. And that's when I spotted Owen and we went and got noodles. And then he had done an ident, which we obviously talked about on the last show, involving a slasher setup sort of thing. As a turn the bloody phone off idents.
Oh, they were brilliant. I loved them.
Yeah. I have started something in that I'm going to try and get one made and submitted for next year's FrightFest.
No way.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
We're going to see if we can get it in there. Got a few ideas and a few contacts, so we'll see if we can make it happen.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So yeah, because his ident was playing, he was there to sort of see it through. And that was played before Zombeavers.
I'm so disappointed I missed this. This was the one film I was looking forward to and I couldn't do it.
It was everything I'd hoped. Actually, I should say about Owen's ident, I think it may have, now it's been played, I think it may be available on YouTube, so we can link to it in notes so people can see it.
Wait, what if my kid brother wakes up?
He's been asleep for hours. Just go with the flow, baby.
Well, okay, I guess.
What the fuck, man? Mom! I was just about to when you called. Well, why don't you kill him if you think it's so important? I did not raise my voice.
So, Zombeavers, it's one of those sort of in the vein of Piranha 3D. Shut up, Gordon. In that it's very knowing of what it's trying to do. It knows it's ridiculous, and it is just there to have fun. And boy, is it fun. The only film ever where something nasty happens to a dog and I laughed. I feel horrible for it, but I couldn't help it. It's brilliantly done. The thing I love the most is they clearly got to this and they thought, well, we've come up with the idea of zombie beavers. What does a beaver sound like? Well, yeah. What does a zombie beaver sound like? Oh, fuck it, I don't know. How about I just go...
Donald Duck
and
on
that's
acid.
basically the noise they make. Yeah. Well, sort of something between Donald Duck and Taz of Tasmania, but it's the first time you see one and it makes that noise, it just burst out laughing. It does do some genre flipping as well. Again, it scores very nicely on the boober meter, so it's kind of got a bit of everything you want it to have. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I went home with a big grin on my face. I actually recorded some audio the next morning, but I sound like the living dead, so I'm probably not going to give you that.
Okay. That's fine.
Because it's basically the sum up I just gave you, so I probably won't do that. So yeah, the Friday we get in, and the day starts with Shockwave Darkside 3D.
Everyone was slagging. I didn't see this, but everyone was slagging this off the entire weekend. Every chance they got, wherever you went, all you heard was about this film.
Or if you walk past the film and people going, "Oh, it was just shit. Oh, it was terrible." Blah blah blah. You go, "Oh, you're talking about Shockwave."
Was it that bad?
Okay, this is set in the future, and it's on the moon, the dark side of the moon. You might have noticed. And people who have faith are called outlaws, outlanders, something like that. You're banished if you have faith. And you can't even say the G word, because God is a swear word now. You have to call him the outlaw. And they're all from different faiths and whatever, but they all sort of work together in this war against these other people. I mean, the plot is very convoluted, and I know they had a hard time trying to get it across, but it's such a talky film.
Right.
But basically, they're on the moon surface, which they shot in like a dust bowl in Arizona or something like that. And the people are wearing exoskeleton spacesuit things. And the way they get around the whole not being able to jump and do the slow motion thing as if you're on the moon is to say, make sure you engage your suit's anti-gravity, blah, 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 so you can walk normally. Yes, that one. The suits look like they're made out of cardboard, and you can actually see that it's gaffer tape holding it together on the shoulders. And the face mask is basically plexiglass glued together. I have no doubt that it was difficult to build something like that, and they clearly had a low budget and everything. But they tried to do it in 3D as well. And sort of the graphics, the heads-up display graphics and stuff, they put a lot of effort into that. But somebody who's just come out of VFX school put a lot of effort into that. Right. Now, I couldn't do any better, so I feel a bit harsh criticising, but it really looks like a student did it. Okay. The other thing they didn't get very right was there's a thing in video called blending modes. Now, I don't know if 3D works the same way. It's basically you tell one layer how to interact with the next layer, so that one appears through the other in a certain way, and it uses different channels of the video to make it look different. Well, it looks like they got that wrong. So you've got like, if you imagine you've got background, person, smoke.
Yeah.
And the smoke is supposed to be in front of the person, and it was sort of, it sort of went, and the depth of field was wrong, but then we realised there was a projection problem as well, because we kept getting flat spots, so they weren't projecting it properly, so it could have been that. But add that to the bad plot, awful dialogue, half-decent performances, over-wordy script, not a lot going on. It was hard work to get through. And the director was sitting behind me.
No way.
Yeah, and then came up, because we were the first ones to see it, because that's the way around it played. They came up, and he sort of went, ask questions. I'm thinking, this is bad, because nobody cares. Nobody wants to ask any questions. So a couple of people sort of bailed him out on that. And this happened a few times over the weekend, actually.
Especially for Nymph. That was painful.
We'll get to that. Yeah, so that was not good. But that is the standout worst film of the festival, and it's not really horror, and what it was doing there, I don't know. I know it's fantasy as well at FrightFest. It was probably, I don't know, should have been at Sci-Fi Festival. Might have done better.
See, when you watch something like that at an event like that, you really do wonder, what did they see in this that I'm not, that I'm missing? Why did they think it would play in front of such an audience? What the fuck?
Yeah. Now, I'm trying to remember what the order was after this. I think Late Phases was the next film.
Let me have a look.
On our screen, because I haven't got our screen list.
Was it not the Green Inferno?
It was Late Phases, then Green Inferno.
Yeah,
okay, so it's switched around from what I'm looking at, okay.
Okay, now, Late Phases, one of my highlights of the festival.
Really?
Yes. Basically, it was directed by Adrian Garcia, who directed Here Comes the Devil, which I really enjoyed. I mean, really enjoyed. When I saw it was him, I was like, brilliant. And this is his first English language movie.
Okay.
Sort of Hollywood production kind of thing. And it's basically a Vietnam vet who is blind, with his seeing eye dog, moves to a retirement village full of sort of Stepford-wise busybody old ladies. His first meeting with them is hilarious because he's so rude to them. It's fantastic. And that night, something comes next door and kills the lady next door. But obviously he can't see it, and something else happens as well. I won't say in case it's spoilerific. And he realises he's got 1 month to prepare because this thing's probably going to come back. Now, there's no secret, this is a werewolf movie. That's not a spoiler. It's what it's billed as. All practical effects. Some of it's a little hokey, but you let it go because it's not CG.
Yeah.
It's fully practical, so you're like, I don't care that they look a bit Muppety. It's good. It's good. And he is such a miserable old fuck. He's hilarious. So I just really enjoyed it. And it's, I can't wait to see when and how that's coming out. I'm hoping it gets a cinema release. Because everyone needs to see that movie.
A lot of comedy in it again?
Yeah, but it's not the over-the-top comedy. It's that kind of clever, well-scripted, snidey, sarcastic kind of comedy.
Oh, okay.
And stuff like that, yeah. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. If it comes out on DVD, I'm buying it, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's high praise.
Because I like a good werewolf movie.
Uh-huh.
And this one's touching, but you know, there's some real heartfelt moments in it as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, then Green Inferno. We were the last people to see this on a cinema screen, sadly, because its distribution was dropped and it's not getting any more. So it will be either video on demand or Blu-ray DVD release.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Yeah. It's perfectly cinematable, I think. But I think possibly because of the shit he got for like Hostel and things like that, and there are some nasty bits in it, then maybe they were just worried about the fallout of that. But it's actually really well handled, because you go in thinking this is going to be another cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
And it has elements of that.
I watched that film
Go on,
this
Matt.
week.
Do tell.
Basically, I might have just said holy shit at the screen for 5 minutes. I think I've reached my limit, and people don't think it's... I had to watch it in 2 sittings, because it got to the point...
Oh, wow.
You know, when he gets to... there's a bit where one of the tribesmen brings a woman to shore and starts doing things. After then, I had to stop. And a day later, I had to start watching it again, and... Yeah, I've reached... I know what my limit in horror is now.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, see, now I really have to watch it.
Well, it's kind of...
Dang it.
Because the guy was selling it in the stall, obviously the FrightFest, and there's a very nice special edition. You've got like an interview with the director, a soundtrack, which I haven't listened to yet, and it's got a really nice booklet. So I thought, yeah, that's a really nice thing to have. Now I feel dirty having it in my house. And I can't... see, if I was evil, I'd donate it to the charity shop, but that's probably enough to get me in prison. So
it might be. It doesn't have a certificate.
No, it just says over 17. You might not want to watch it if you're not over 17, which I agree on.
It is the unrated version.
Have you watched it yet?
I haven't had time. I am desperate to watch it. I have to say that Matt very generously also bought me a copy of it.
I wish I hadn't now, because that makes it sound evil that I bought you this film.
No, because I like it, Matt. It's fine. Yeah. Everyone knows I'm a twisted fuck. It's okay.
See, I would put myself on... because my limit... I told you the weekend I have limits where it's just too much for me. Sometimes it's silly. This hit all the limits I have. So...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You could see why the director was arrested.
Yeah, watching it, I can understand why someone would think it was real. I can understand that. I knew it wasn't real, but I was thinking it for about 5 minutes.
And you think when it was made, that's why it's such an amazing piece of work.
Oh, it is. Like, the practical effects they do on it, and, is it's a piece of art. It is. But it's a twisted piece of art at the same time.
So, yeah, you go into Green Inferno wondering if he's going to get anywhere close. And no, not really. But what it does have is a pretty good conceit, a pretty good setup. And it is just... I like the title, Green Inferno, because it is... It's just so green, and you know, with the way it's shot with the modern cameras and stuff. I know Al made a criticism, and he's right in some respects, that like modern horror films look too good.
Yeah. But
this film, the point of it is that it looked so good. Excuse me. I get a sneeze. No, I didn't. Fuck it. Sorry.
Bless you
Didn't
in
want to
advance.
deafen you all. Yeah, this was all about the sort of the aerial shots of the winding river and the beautiful village and the colourful tribe and everything else, and then the red of blood as people are disemboweled and dismembered. But
Nice.
I really enjoyed it, actually, as it was more engaging. It wasn't just a vehicle for gore. It had a point, it had a story, and yeah, there wasn't much to criticise about it, to be honest. I actually worried about this. I was just worried I was just coming off too positive about everything. I know I'm easily pleased, but...
Oh, don't worry, we know you're going to get negative soon. So, I know you're going to get negative soon.
Well, we did just do Darkside.
If it didn't have Eli Roth attached to it, do you think it would have got a distribution?
If it didn't have Eli Roth attached to it, it wouldn't have got a proposed cinema distribution in the first place.
Okay.
I don't think. I think they were going to cinema it because he was attached, and then got cold feet. Or they just thought they weren't going to make their money back. But how they think they're going to make more money back by just sticking it out to DVD, not sure. I would say if you're a horror fan, watch it.
So I say it becomes a cult favourite at that point, doesn't it? Because if people see it at festivals and they tell their friends, and you can't see us in the cinema, they didn't want it to be released. That's how things kind of the underground, isn't it? Or best way to call it. It becomes something everyone wants to see.
It's got to be good as well for that to happen.
Yeah, it's got to be good as well. But yeah, if it's good and people like, it makes it more interesting. That it's got a story behind it. Like Cannibal Holocaust, that's what won me to it, because it had this big story about the director and everything that happened and all the hoo-ha that went around that kind of brought me into it. So
yeah, well, it's definitely worth a watch. I would, if you're a horror fan, watch it. You need to see it.
Okay, I should be looking out for that one. I'm assuming it'll come on VOD pretty quickly.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, so that brings me on to Matt. What was the first one you saw?
This was it.
Housebound.
No, it was Dead Snow 2.
Oh, was that before Housebound?
Yeah, it was Dead Snow 2, Housebound, then the last showing.
Okay, you did well there.
Yeah.
Right.
This is when I arrived, and I'm so glad that I ran across London to get here in time.
Go on, Matt, you take this one.
So, basically, it's Dead Snow 2, Red vs. Dead. I loved the first Dead Snow film. It was absolutely brilliant, and I thought the second one was going to be rubbish. I'm asthmatic and have inhalers. So when I laugh too much, I get a bit wheezy. I emptied an inhaler at this film. That's the biggest praise I can give it. I was short on breath. Because everyone beside me was looking at me. They were looking at me like, what the hell's up with them? Because I was nearly on the floor at one point. And this is what I mean, it's a very comedy weekend, but I've never seen anything this funny in a long time. Which is really weird, saying something about Nazi zombies when it comes down to it. So...
And considering the director did Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter, which is not a great precursor, but honestly, they handled this so well.
It's beautifully done.
Because you're like, okay, it carries on straight after the first one. You're like, well, where can you go with this now? Oh, there's plenty of places you can go with this. They bring in an American team of zombie specialists. So there's a lot more English language mixed in, so it's not all subtitled for those who get subtitle fatigue. But if I said laugh a minute, I wouldn't be exaggerating. It may have even been a 2 laughs per minute kind of film.
Oh wow!
The first applause break, when everyone was just roaring and applauding, was they informed Martin about a certain medical procedure they've done when he's been out, and that moment everyone just died. It was brilliant. It was just.
And there's a moment with a little boy at a hospital. And I was crying with laughter after this scene. And it's so wrong to be laughing at it. It's one of those films that the second it's out, I'm getting it. And I'm watching it again. Because you don't remember all the funny bits. Because it's like Aeroplane. You want to watch it because there must be jokes I missed or whatever. I can't say enough good things about this film. It was possibly... the highlight of the festival for me. This
was, and
oh wow!
There was a side character introduced who I named Gregor, and what they did with Gregor, because I like giving things names, was beautiful. It topped it off. You kept on thinking, how much more abuse can they throw at him? And and at the end, there's a lovely little payoff on it. And we started a little tally about just not really ruining. I think it was 4 films where people had sex with zombies.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
What we decided is next Fright Fest, there's going to be a checklist going in, and each film is going to see which boxes it ticks. I think there were only 3 movies we saw out of all of them that didn't have a vomit scene, for example. Yeah. Somebody throws up in pretty much every single movie this year.
Nice.
Even Shockwave Darkside 3D, she throws up in her spacesuit and he ejects it out the back with a vent port. I shit you not. But yeah, at least 4 films of people had sex with dead things. Yeah, 5 if you include Necromantic, which we didn't go and see. But given that the director was there, I'm really gutted that I didn't now. But anyway.
Yeah, but there's a moment at the end. Let's just say this film does a nod to Titanic, and that think of that as you will. It's a nice little surprise at the end. So
yeah,
it's can't say enough about it. It's brilliant. Is there going to be a next one? Probably, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Do it by next year, please, guys. Please.
I don't think that'll be that quick.
But yeah.
It had heart, though. It wasn't just comedy, stupid gore, blah, blah, blah. It had real heart to it as well, and it created characters you liked, and it did a really good job of giving everybody enough time that you did like them.
And you did care about them as well, which is kind of funny to say, but it's like likeable characters... And some great... The effects were great, and there were some what the hell moments thinking, why the hell does that tank have so much ammunition? But the decommissioned tank, that's a perfect sounding tank there, guys. But there we go. It's just giving the illusion that Germany's very armed. So, yeah.
Isn't it Norway?
No. I don't know.
I'm sure it was in Norway.
Have a look.
Europe somewhere.
Yeah.
Is this going to lose something if I sit and watch it at home on my own? Does it need to be watched with an audience?
I think in a cinema it grows something. It was just... I think it's one of these audience films that if you have someone there to go, oh, look at that, it will probably help.
Okay.
But it's good enough that I think you'll still laugh your socks off even if you're sitting there on your own. Yeah, there's enough in there. And Gregor just sort of makes one noise. He just sort of goes...
Props to the person who played Gregor, though. There's so much emotion in that grunt. It's like I Am Groot. Kept on coming out and coming out.
It was.
I think if I rent this, I'm going to have a few beers.
Yeah, do that. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
The only problem was this is my first festival film. That's a bad point going in at, because that was my judgment point for the rest of them. I was like, I've seen probably the best film first. So I was like,
Well, the next one wasn't disappointing.
No, I enjoyed the next one. The next one was good.
So, this was Housebound, which is basically a New Zealand movie. And the conceit is it's a girl, she's got a life of crime. It starts with her and her inept boyfriend trying to rob an ATM. And their method for getting the cash out is to hit it with a sledgehammer. And he hits it so hard with the sledgehammer that it bounces off, hits him in the head and knocks him out. So she has to carry the money and her boyfriend and the sledgehammer back to the car. They're still ahead of the police, this is fine, but because they're kind of chavs, they're in a lowered car, they go over a speed bump and get beached on the speed bump. So that's the opening of the film. And she basically gets an ankle bracelet and told, you have to go, you've had jail time before, it hasn't worked, you need rehabilitating, so we're going to confine you to your mother's house for like 8 months or something like that. And her mum is brilliant. She's one of these, oh dear, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Oh no. Why are you such a bitch, honestly? I don't know. And she's just walks over her mum the whole time. But it sets it up as like a ghost story, and we find out there's more behind it, and again, so many laughs in this movie. Just some really funny
It's like the probation officer, you think he's really normal, and then when they float the idea of ghosts, he turns around and the camera pans in on his face. He raises his eyebrows and goes, "Did you say ghosts?" And it's just like, you just know he's joining the Scooby Gang. So
next time he's back with a PKE meter.
Yeah, he's got it all in the boot of his car, and it's like he's just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, it's like he's been spending his whole career to try and get this one chance.
Yeah, and it says, "Where do you got this fancy
to do a
equipment?"
bit of ghost hunting.
And he goes, "I nick it from work. They don't really pay attention." It's like, oh, brilliant.
It's one. You can't really say much more about it because you go into spoiler territory very easily.
Yeah.
But it has just got this glorious sense of humour again.
And again, they really love Coronation Street, which was a nice little throwback. The worst bit was I could tell when they filmed this because I knew what episode it was. So that was the worst bit.
Yeah, because the girl's like downstairs watching something terrible, and Mum's like, dear, could we use the television? Because it's Coronation Street night.
And it was, dear, but you've got to understand, it's a really important episode tonight. And it's like, and she just like flips them off. And then they're upstairs on the portable saying, I can't even tell what they were doing. I could. So I could tell what episode it was from that, so they've got no excuse. So
I didn't know the Coronation Street was showing outside of the UK.
There you go.
You have no excuse, Gordon, you have to catch up now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Damn, I've got 4 years worth of Coronation Street to catch up on.
I'm sure that won't eat into your horror watching time.
Not at all.
So, yeah, we then got the last showing of the last showing, which, of course, was the big Robert Englund showcase film that he was there to promote. And unfortunately, because of the schedule, because normally they come in, they do a bit of a talky bit, then they go out, then the film plays, then they come back in and do a Q&A. Well, because this is like about to screen just before midnight, they come in, they do a bit of a Q&A, and then sod off.
Yeah.
And I've realised I've lost my opportunity to try and get something from Robert Englund, which is one that I really just wanted him to say something. If I could get him to say the words "The Little Pot of Horrors," I'd be very happy.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so they came in, they did a really good little Q&A. He's quite entertaining, and hopefully Gordon will drop some audio in here, because I do have some.
Timing of it, and so I read it like that, and I could hear the clock ticking, and I could feel all of the suspense working in it. And I told my agent, I said, I want to do this. I don't care. They don't know it now. I mean, Alex and now I would have better come for free. You know, except for the rain in Manchester, I would have been there for free. My summer was a bit damp, but between the Minions and the rain. But I mean, I got to stand next to the lovely Emily Barrington, you know, and I got to share my marks with Finn Jones, who's terrific in the film. So between the support I got from Phil and his writing and his confidence in me as an actor, and my lovely co-stars, it was never a question of not doing this.
Emily, we've seen you in Between Us Two recently. You've been in 24. You know, but why?
Look, her fingers have grown back.
Why were you particularly interested in this? Why did you want to do it? Did he talk you into it? What happened? I mean, or was it because working with your agent was Robert?
I had to be like, please can I be in it? No, I read it and I just thought. I just thought it was a really good story, a really good idea. I didn't think of it as a horror film or anything. I just thought of it as, you know, your agents would say this is a horror film. You just read the script, and I thought, what a brilliant, terrifying idea, a great thriller, a really good part, like not your average kind of just screaming blonde girl. You know, she's a real character, and I thought it was amazing. As soon as I heard Robert was attached, then that sealed the deal.
And they actually filmed it in a view cinema.
This one right now.
And of course, it was actually operating as a cinema. And of course, there was like Despicable Me showing, so they were like coming out from like midnights, you know.
Oh no! I mean, Finn had to wear blood for the last third of the movie. He had this because I hit him with them. Oh, spoilers! Finn's bloody, and Finn's bloody, and she's bloody, and I'm bloody. We're all bloody, bloody.
Very British.
And we would come out. We thought we could shoot until noon, and I'm sure Alex thought we could shoot until noon. But around 10 in the morning, they had this humongous hit in Northern England of Is It Despicable Me? It was last summer's go-to family film. So we would be walking around the lobby with blood all over us, and Finn especially looked bad. And there would be these beautiful little English schoolgirls with Hello Kitty backpacks on, with their mamas and their dads coming, you know, to the Saturday matinee or the Monday matinee, you know, and it would be 10 in the morning. They wanted to touch the Minions in the lobby, and there was like blood stains. You know, where we dragged Finn across the floor. It was like, oh. And I just kept thinking, any minute now, we're going to lose this location.
I mean, you like working in England, Robert, don't you? I mean, you're an Anglophile, really. I mean,
no, I am, and the great thing is my wife Nancy came over at the end, and she managed to get us in a little tiny pub hotel near Salisbury, and I had a little bit of summer after all the rain in Manchester. And I looked down the River Avon with a green tunnel of trees and little beautiful naked English babies with swans in the water, and I drank myself silly, and I marched and saw the Magna Carta. Yes, he did something for his environment. So I love working here. You know? I'm an Anglophile. I went to school here.
But no, listen, so we can't give too much away, but that's the problem.
And now we know that Finn gets bloody. Oh, shit!
We hope you like the movie, really. I mean, you know, the last 2 screenings have gone really well. We're really very pleased. And so I'd like to say thanks to Phil Hawkins, Alex Bradska, Ellie Barrington, and of course, the famous monster of film.
Just this morning, you guys are at, and listen, I know this kind of plugs the meta of this, but this is the midnight screening of the midnight movie of the last showing of the last showing at FrightFest, the premiere. So, trust me, watch your goddamn popcorn, kids.
Yes. So after this little bit of talky bit, I said to Matt, right, I'm going to try it. I've got nothing to lose. And there was like a door at the front and a door at the back. They went out the door at the front by the screen, so I ran out the back door, ran down the corridor, and Robert Englund's just about to go down the stairs, and this guy in like a jacket, you know, his people, he just looks at me and goes, can I help you, sir? And let's cut forward a bit. So Matt's sitting in the cinema now, and he's waiting for me to come back. What happened then, Matt?
So basically, he comes in, and I go, oh, how did it happen? And he went, basically his people told me to fuck off.
Nice. It was a bit harsh. It didn't quite go down like that, but I did get a laugh. I should mention Paul, actually, was sitting next to me on my left, because he was a solo ticket holder, and a super nice guy.
Really nice guy.
And yeah, and he would like look after our stuff and in between shows or whatever, and he was a really good laugh and a good giggle, and yeah, very nice chap.
Cool.
So, of course, I told him what I was going to do as well. I could try to get an interview for the show. How'd it go? Told me to fuck off. But basically, I said, I got as far as basically saying, is there any chance I could just... No, he's done for the night. Go downstairs, please. I said, well, I'm just about to watch the movie. Oh, okay, go into your movie then, please, sir. So he tried to kick me out of the building. It's like, cheers. So yeah, that was my Robert Englund experience. I did stand 1.5 meters away from him, so...
Closer than I've been, so yeah.
That's something.
But he's a funny guy, and he did give a really good sort of intro, as you will have heard.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy that he did it beforehand, because I hate to say it, I don't know what anyone could have said after this film. I hate to say it, but it was a big letdown. Cause
one of the dullest movies of the
festival. Yeah, and they were like, oh, you're seeing the midnight show, the last showing of the last showing at midnight, and like, yay! And I'd like to put, this is kind of, I'd like to say, like, you know, if like Sesame Street did Saw, I think it was the whole idea of it's like a really low keyed down, less gruesome version of Saw. You know, the kind of the game. That's what I think it is, and it just felt flat. And it just, yeah, it's got the guy who plays Lawrence in Game of Thrones, and he was a bit of crap. So no.
I didn't even notice it was him. That's how crap he was.
Night of the Flowers. Yeah.
Yes. So it was basically Robert Englund plays a disgruntled ex-projectionist, because obviously it's all digital now, so he can't do all that. So he basically has to serve popcorn and drinks to people, and decides to make his own movie using the cameras and things around the cinema and the TV systems to like give messages to his victims and whatever. And it's not nasty enough. It's not in the least bit gruesome. There's one death which is completely underwhelming, and they're supposed to be like, oh, this is so terrible. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'd just walk past. And it's shot in a View Cinema. In Manchester, completely, and it's like, I see what you tried to do there, but unfortunately, it didn't pay off. I mean, England's good in it. England's England. He doesn't know how to do a bad performance, but unfortunately, he didn't have much to work with.
Well, I kind of, what my problem with it is that, you know, in these kind of films, you want to feel some kind of empathy for the character, for the villain. Now, he couldn't be a projectionist anymore. That was his fault. He could have still been a projectionist. He was just too proud to redo the training. So it's not like we could say, oh, they forced him out. No, the people in the cinema would be perfectly nice to him. He was just being a bit of a dick. He just didn't want to change. And it's like, that's, if they'd been horrible to him, it's like, oh, you're too old to learn the new skill. But there was no motivation. It doesn't seem any point why he's done this. There's no kind of...
It's about Lavinia's old boss, right? She worked for him for 12 years. And the reason he liked her so much is she translated everything into English for him. Because he refused to learn English. Oh, they fired him. Yeah. Funnily enough. Because you got to be able to speak English to do this job. And it's like, you can't be belligerent that long and keep your job. So if he then went out and killed everybody in the office because of that, that would be a tad extremer reaction, don't you
I'd like
think?
to point out that'd be a better film than the last showing.
Yeah, it could be a paper factory. You could squish people in between the roads.
Yeah,
anyway,
people,
sorry.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Okay. Other than the fact that I now want to see Sesame Street doing Saw. Thanks, Matt. When I watched the trailer for this one, I was just like, oh, that looks awful. Oh, God, it just looks too slick and too crap. And what the heck are you doing, Robert Englund? You can do so much better.
Yeah.
And the accent was really weird. I don't know what kind of English accent he was trying to do. But I couldn't tell. Yeah, it was just weird. I would have preferred if he was being American. So he's trying to be serious.
It didn't put me off, though. It wasn't bad enough that it took me out of it. I think maybe it's just because it was Robert Englund, I just forgave everything. So,
Mr. England, sir, I don't care. There we go.
Yeah. I still think you're awesome.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Now, here's the big festival thing. Did you give it a harder time because of what you've come off the last two movies, or was it really that bad?
No, I could have watched it at any point and I'd have given it as hard a time.
Okay.
I think I would, but if I just watched this on its own, I would have probably been okay with it. But I think I'm more like, I've just seen really two great films, and the expectation was really built up. It's Robert Englund, and they were kind of pumping it up at the beginning, telling some stories about how when they were filming this, Despicable Me 2 was on. So what they would do is they'd come out, and he says, we'd come out and we'd be covered in blood. Now, they weren't really covered in blood in the film, so I was expecting them to be like really beaten up or anything, but no, they weren't. It's like, we came out all bloody and the people waiting to see Despicable Me 2, and like, well, that never happened. So it kind of built me up for thinking, they're going to have some great gruesome shots. They didn't. So you got a bit of blood on his shirt, that was about it, and it looked like ketchup. It looked like ketchup.
Got nosebleed.
Yeah, sorry.
The bit with the elevator was fun. That was good.
Is it really bad that I don't even remember?
When he's trying to get on the elevator, and Robert's got control of the elevator, and he keeps on running down it, and Robert keeps on turning it off. Yeah.
No, sorry. Maybe I fell asleep. I don't know.
At some point, I thought you were.
Maybe then. Maybe. It was very late. I have to say, I had very few snozy moments for the whole festival. Very few, which is that is a mark of how good the movies were generally.
That is really good.
I did miss one of Late Phases. I did run out after that one, and I did catch a director, and I just got to shake his hand and say, I loved Here Comes the Devil, and this was brilliant as well. I didn't have my recorder running for that, because I'd left it in my bag. It was more one of those opportunistic ones. I just saw he was out there, and I thought, I've got to say something. Just brilliant. So that moves us on to, I've lost track already, Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday was a good day.
Yeah.
On the whole.
Yeah, it didn't start off very well, though.
It started off a bit creepy, I have to say.
Because what they had was, all cheerleaders die. So what they have is, they have some young girls in the uniforms from the film coming out and doing a 3 to 4 minute dance routine. None of them were old enough to see the film, and they looked really creeped out, and all of us are about, over 20, and it's everyone sitting around here, and we're all looking at each other saying, ugh. It just felt really awkward watching these 12-year-old girls dance in very revealing outfits.
Well, I think they're a bit older than 12, but
not much.
They were probably 15, 16-year-old girls. They were using one of those Beats speakers tied to an iPhone for the audio.
Yeah.
No, they didn't even put it through the main system. They had like blood on their faces to make out that they were sort of dead. So I think because of that, they were trying to be dead scary things. They didn't smile. And if you've ever seen a cheerleader cheering and not smiling, it's actually really odd and creepy.
And kind of constipated.
And I feel really harsh for saying this. Oh, God, I hope no one ever listens. Should I say this or not?
Go on.
I thought you were supposed to be good looking to be a cheerleader.
You did say that.
I mean, maybe that's just the movies. Maybe that's just America. And, fair play to this cheerleading group that it's more about the talent of the people involved and not the way they look. And let's leave it
I'd like to point out, I did give you a look because you did say that, and I thought, you said that kind of loud. And they were still at the front. And I was like, boss.
Yeah, we are 2 rows from the front.
Yeah, we were 2 rows from the front. And I was like, you've said that really loud.
I'll just say that, I think it is a TV kind of it's one of these things you see in the TV and the movies and stuff like that. Is obviously they get the prettiest people to be cheerleaders, but from what I see, it is anybody who can come along and have a talent. They do not exclude you because you don't fit the stereotypical gorgeous cheerleader.
Oh,
yes,
it's just football teams that do that. Then
TV's lied to me.
They have lied to you. Yes, I mean they do. I've seen people go through and everything like that, and they do go more for the talent, so you can actually perform and be enthusiastic, regardless of what you look like. So certainly around here, they're more inclusive than you would expect. But yes.
Well, I'm no cheerleading connoisseur, but I'm not sure the talent was all that evident either. Oh, I'm being such a bitch. It was just a weird thing to do.
Yeah, but for this movie, I would have expected the stereotypical cheerleader to be promoting it.
Mm. So, Matt, the film.
Right, the film felt like a TV show. It felt, like the really rubbishy films you kind of see sci-fi makes these days. Like, I'm not talking like your Sharknadoes, because they're amazing, by the way. But it's this kind of the ones they used to do, and it was. The film's called All Cheerleaders Die. I'd like to point out, not all the cheerleaders die, so that's false advertising. Want my money back?
Spoiler.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Oh, it's a big spoiler. Don't watch it, so it's fine. Look, it's basically one of the unpopular girls, decides that she's making a documentary and decides that she wants to get revenge on all the cheerleaders. By all the cheerleaders, I mean 4. So obviously that was budgetary constraints, so they didn't want to go for the whole squad. And there's a really good bit at the beginning, but after that it just felt really weird. And there was a really weird body swap element in it as well, which I didn't understand why they did it. So
it was a bit Freaky Friday in places.
Yeah, and it just felt like it was almost like you're adding more to this. It was like it didn't need it, and it just felt it was too much. So like Pop-Tarts are too much. This is the Pop-Tarts of the revenge film. There we go.
I love it. Okay, well, I found with this film, I didn't really know what it was trying to be, but I think that ingratiated it more to me, because I expected it to be one of these dumb cheerleader kind of schlocky horror movies, and it's actually really fucking dark in places. And the scene which sort of kicks off the whole crisis point in the middle of the movie, that scene, the argument in the woods, is actually a really difficult watch. It makes you feel really uncomfortable, and it won me back on those points. And then after that, it is back to the whole high school shenanigans and the, messing around in the toilets and whatever else. But then it goes really, really dark again, and I quite liked that it just kept ramping up and down like that. I think the end lost me. The end did lose me.
They're very optimistic, which I don't think they have a right to be.
Well, I understand that. I mean, it's well shot, it's well put together. Great performances. It still sits around the 3-star mark, unfortunately. Sorry, the 27.5 mark.
Oh, that's a bit generous. I'm going 21.8.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay. I really enjoyed it when I watched it.
I didn't not enjoy it.
Yeah, but would you recommend it if someone said, "Okay, All Cheerleaders Die is the only movie I can watch on Netflix tonight. Should I watch it or just turn over and watch Coronation Street?"
No, I'd watch All Cheerleaders Die.
I'd like to point out, how many beers does this person have?
2.
Coronation Street. You can get through Coronation Street on 2 beers. I'd like to point out you can't do that on this.
Hey, I'd like to throw something in the mix here. There aren't enough beers in the world to make me watch Coronation Street.
This sounds like a challenge.
And there's not enough boobs in Coronation Street.
No, exactly. To be fair, there weren't enough boobs in All Cheerleaders Die either.
There weren't, but
there was lots of arse shots.
It scored a B.
Arse shots, many arse shots.
Yeah, it scored a B on the boobometer scale. So
it was a great shot when they did it, though.
It was. Yeah.
I thought that was
and it was like
a good reaction.
Right, when obviously when they all felt this kind of pain when someone did something, that was a bit awkward as well, because it seemed to me like they were all having a shared orgasm.
Well, they were.
Yeah, they were, and I didn't know if that was
brilliant. I
didn't know that was intentional or not, but I just thought just watching these girls moan on the floor. And
I quite enjoyed that bit. What's the problem?
I just felt really awkward after that, because you had the creepy girls at the beginning, and then it was like, I'm sitting in a screen with 40 other people watching people have orgasms in an American high school. It doesn't sit right with me. Call me a prude. But there we go.
Such a prude.
Okay, would you have enjoyed it better, Matt, had you watched this on your own, with not in a cinema setting, but on TV, watching it on Netflix? Do you think you would have enjoyed it better?
I feel I have to confess to my girlfriend I'd watched it. I've done something bad, honey. I'm sorry.
It's not porn.
Call me a prude. That's just one of my limits. Unfortunately, call me a prude. There we go.
I think the line I took from that film was just, "It's so cold."
That was quite good, actually. And it was obviously with the whole body swap. One of the characters gets someone to call the other name, and the way he just looks at her and goes, "Okay, then," just accepts it. It's like,
well, he's getting his dreams fulfilled. Of course, he accepts it. Anyway, we should rattle on. We're going to be here all night. Right, what was next? Because my list is in the wrong order.
What we have...
I think it was Starry Eyes.
It was The Harvest.
Oh, The Harvest was next.
Yeah.
Okay. Not so much a horror film, more of a thriller.
Yeah.
But the main woman is channeling Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
And she is quite terrifying at points in this movie. Basically, they have a young, very sick son in a bed. A girl moves into the house nearby, comes along, taps on his window, wants to be friends, but the mum's a complete bitch and doesn't want her hanging around.
Okay.
But the girl is persistent, keeps coming back, and then finds that there's some nasty secret going on. It's got the guy's name, Michael Shannon, is it? Who was in Bug.
Yes.
Plays the husband. He's brilliant. I mean, the performances, the young girl in it, I mean, it's really well.
Oh, she was brilliant.
made.
And people said that in the Q&A. And they were like, she was
Yeah.
amazing in it. And the boy who plays the, I can't remember his name. But yeah, the young boy who's sick in the bed, I think he was really good as well. And the woman who played the mother is kind of, when she got angry, like her eyes went really wide. And it was a really good, like, all-in performance. And she was pretty scary and pretty batshit crazy, which I liked. It was good.
It was directed by John McNaughton, who did Portrait of a Serial Killer, Henry. So good pedigree there, and it's one of those. It didn't set my world on fire. Excuse the pun, but it was. It's again, you get to the end of the film and you didn't hate it, and you didn't feel you'd wasted your time. But there's only certain people I'd probably recommend it to. It's not really a horror flick.
No, it's not really.
So I wouldn't give it too much time.
I think the title led, because I kept on thinking it was going to get quite horrific at points, because with the name of the title and obviously the plot about what's going down in the basement, I kind of thought it was going to take like a serial killer kind of route, kind of like a Harvest, if you know what I mean. And it didn't do that, and that's where I kept on expecting it to go. I did enjoy it, but I think it kind of hinted it was going to go that way as well. And it kind of did, but not in the way I was expecting. So it was a good film, but just not horror-y, not really.
Okay.
So then it was Starry Eyes, was it?
Yes.
I want to talk about this one. Right. This the one that this was crowd-funded, wasn't it?
Yeah, and from what I can see, I think, if I remember correctly, what they got via Kickstarter was about $70,000. That's how much they got from Kickstarter.
Impressive. Basically, wannabe actress goes to an audition. It's rather creepy, but they bring her back for another one, and she sort of gets propositioned. She's like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not that desperate to be famous. But it turns out she is, and she goes back, and this kind of weird sort of occultic thing around it, and she starts to go through a rather interesting change. Again, can't really say too much because it would be massively spoilerific, but the thing of note in this is the Alex Esso, her name is Essoe. Not like the petrol station with an E on the end. She basically, this audition she does at the beginning, she does a really good audition, and they're like, thanks, we'll get back to you. They're real dicks, the people doing the audition. So she goes to the toilet and she has this weird tic where she pulls her hair like really hard to punish herself for not being good enough, and she basically has this screaming, raging fit in the toilet. And this woman comes back and says, that you just did there, could you do that again in here? And she basically just has to freak out in front of them to sort of prove she's good enough.
It's uncomfortable to watch as well, because it was so convincing and so powerful. It was uncomfortable, and that was an amazing performance.
And you sort of end up thinking, okay, so in the audition to make this film, did you make her do that entire scene for you to prove that she could do that scene of that scene in that film? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just like, could you just go mental for us, please? And it's like, if you have any inhibitions, leave them at the door, because we've got to
Yeah.
see your soul here. And she was phenomenal.
She carried the film. Carried the film completely.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And then there's this really cool sort of set piece at the end, and yeah, just really interesting, arty little film with some pretty cool deaths towards the end.
Oh yeah.
It's really difficult like this because you want to talk about the film more. But I will spoil shit, and I don't want to do that to anybody. Recommended film.
Yeah, and it was. It's almost like they were trying to paint a picture of what life is like in Hollywood. It's like a metaphor for what you have to do to get to the top. And it's,
it is. Yeah, it's a satire. Yeah. It's a satire on Hollywood.
Yeah, and totally recommended. Really good film. Really high up there. And the visual effects and the practical effects they do for what she goes through are brilliant. And it's difficult to watch as well because I've got certain things I don't like. I don't like people losing fingernails or teeth. I can't stand it, and it made me feel really uncomfortable, which was cool. So, spoilers. Whoops.
No.
Damn it! I've done really well so far. I'll never get that film role.
Right, so that moves us on to I Survived a Zombie Holocaust.
Weasley.
What?
This is a film about a zombie film where the zombies are coming, and the zombies actually do come, and the cast have to sort of survive a zombie holocaust. It wins Best Decomposing Penis of the Festival Award.
Best use of the hacker in films ever.
Yes. There's a guy at the beginning, I actually got pissed off with him immediately, because there's just character when I played rugby here, and he's just talking about all these rugby matches. Shut up. I thought he was just going to be really annoying, and the payoff with him was just fantastic at the end.
Yeah.
It's not a brilliant film, but again, it was a really tongue-in-cheek, fun, loads of silly little one-liners, and it was hit and miss. A lot of it was miss. But there was enough hit for me to go, yeah, that was okay.
Oh, come on, it was great. And it's like, what I was saying, it was because the main character's named Wesley, and they do this big, like, panoramic shot, and then they have him right at the film set, and he goes, hello, my name's Weasley! And he says his name like that the entire film, and it got funnier every time. I didn't think it would. And the great moments, like when he's got to be the body double for a certain scene, is great. And also,
that was good.
Film number 2 when someone sleeps with a zombie, and what happens because of that? As you said, decomposing penis. It looks like an off Bratwurst. It was brilliant. Moldy Cumberland. It was great. And
Moldy Cumberland.
Some like massive amounts of overacting, and but it's just
the director in the film is brilliant as well. I swear I've seen him in something before, but I couldn't place him. He looked familiar. And the guy they had being the American film star was brilliant as well, because obviously he wasn't American, and that accent was crap.
It was funny though. So what was it? Life After Beth next?
Life After Beth.
This, please, everybody, you have to go and see Life After Beth. I expected to not like this movie.
Why?
Because of the mopey kid that's in it.
Okay.
I can't remember his name. He's been in something else. I find him a little bit... Is it Dane DeHaan?
Yeah, Dane DeHaan.
I wasn't a massive fan of him before this movie. But basically it starts and he's at Beth's funeral. His girlfriend's dead. And there's some sort of touching scenes where he goes and he clearly gets on well with their parents, and he's around there playing chess and drinking whiskey with the dad, and, they're all kind of sad. And then they don't talk to him for days. And he's like, what's going on? So he pops round and he looks through the window and he sees Beth walk past the window.
Oh, okay.
And again, I don't think I can say anything else about this movie. And so how can I not spoil it? Okay, it's clearly it's a zombie rom-com. Okay, so it is in the vein of Shaun of the Dead, and obviously she's back from the dead, but she's completely normal. You're so beautiful. Completely compos mentis, and her parents are like, no, don't go outside because that would be weird. And but they desperately want to get their hands on each other. And was it film 3 where somebody sleeps with a dead person?
Yeah, film 3.
But the comedy in this one,
and also like the dad is played by John C. Reilly as well. And when he came on, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good film. I love him. So.
But again, it's not over the top. It's that really subtle kind.
Well, there are moments when when certain other people come back and they're in the house and the makeup, that's over the top.
Yeah,
that's the only bit that's better over the top. But the question is, Boz, do you want to go for a hike? And
that is what you come out of this movie saying. Want to go for a hike?
And you know what the best bit was? I looked in my festival goodie bag, and the film I had was The Hike. So
brilliant!
There we go.
Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Did you watch it yet?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, okay.
I'm a bit horrored out after the festival.
And Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, I watched that and thinking, I might watch something else, and I'm good for now. I'm good.
I think the thing that's most original about Life After Beth is that the zombies returning isn't a brain, smash the door down, everybody dies, screams, runs away. Just dead people who were dead, like the postman, the dead postman, just turns up. Morning!
Here's all your mail
post.
that I haven't delivered in 40 years. There you go.
Weren't you? Goodbye. Gets in his van and drives it into a lamppost, you know. So, this lovely idea of people just turning up and being back, and it's quite subtly done.
Hey, what are you doing in my house? And it's like, that never got old.
Yes. Yeah, the people who used to own the house 40 years ago. Why are you in our house? But yeah, it's got a great sense of humour with it, and the end of this film, it's no spoiler to say they finally get their hike, but that it is hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
But it's touching and heartbreaking at the same time. So it, honestly, I think this will get a cinema release.
Oh, it will do, because it's very very warm bodies-y kind of thing. Yeah. Very like that, very in the same kind of vein.
I think that's what I said afterwards. My little short review is just find every copy of Warm Bodies, burn it, and replace it with this film. Yeah, this is what it should have been.
The trailer looked really, really good.
Yeah,
so it looked very funny.
It is. And that brings us to what was voted Film of the Festival by Total Film.
I agree.
And that's the Babadook.
The Babadook.
Duck. Gives me chills.
Now, this is based on a kid's book. It turns up, and the mother reads it thinking it's just another harmless kid's book, and then sort of halfway through the book, she's like, "This is fucked up. I'm not reading this anymore." But damage done. The thing's put in the kid's head, and you know he's sort of got an imaginary friend at that point. You think it's going to go the sort of stereotypical route. Okay. It really doesn't, and it bills it that it's this big bad monster that's going to be doing stuff, and it really isn't, and that's what's different about it. The woman in it, Essie Davis, unbelievable performance, and the little boy as well. It's all about their performance and their interaction together. I'm just blown away by this.
And it's when the second book turns up, and that's when you just, oh my dear God, you kind of think it's not going to go there, is it? Because it gets very graphic in the second book. I'll be honest with you, and
because she takes it outside, rips it to pieces, and it comes back.
And you gotta wonder, does the Babadook have a printing press? It doesn't seem to have. Well, because the book's all taped back together as well and changed, and it's really. I say I would like to have a copy of that book, but it would creep me out because it was actually.
I'm sure they're going to sell it.
It was creepy, but it wasn't gruesomely creepy. It was just spine-tingling creepy, which was really nice and very suspenseful as well, and wondering where it was going to go. And the little boy was brilliant. And I think the person who played the old lady next door was really good as well. Like the old lady of Outside.
She was actually underrated. But the Essie Davis, there are points in this movie where she screams, and I'm not talking like a scream in terror. I'm talking anger and fury. And there was one point where she screamed in this movie, and a shiver went from the sort of the middle of my forehead over the whole of my head of hair, right down my back, and I swear, made the hair stand up in my ass cheek. Too much information. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. But like the deepest shiver down your spine ever. It just was incredible. If you see this movie, cinema.
Oh, you need
to be in a black room. You need the loudest sound system you can possibly go near, because it is all about the sound design.
Make sure there's a wardrobe in the room you're watching it in. And make sure you shut the door.
Yeah. It was different enough, and it does suffer from they didn't really know what to do at the end again, but not as bad as many other films.
I like that, and if they did a sequel, but with in a different situation, but using the same kind of principle that they set up, I will like that. I think they left it very open for that, where it wouldn't be too much. But and also I have maybe 120 stickers of the Babadook.
Yes, we're just going to stick them on lampposts.
I'm going to stick them on lampposts, and I also caught a T-shirt which Lavinia has now because I caught it and it was a medium. And no offense, Boz, but me and you, we are mediums.
We're not getting.
We're not getting in a medium. I tried to swap, but everyone's like, "No, they're mine." So
she tried it on. It looks really good, and I didn't realise it has the Babadook written on the sleeve.
It does. Yeah,
so,
that's why I wanted to get a big one because it looked awesome.
Yeah, we sort of went down on the last day. There was just a big thing of like promotional materials in a basket. We're like, "Yep, having that."
Because I found out, you know, the little medicine bottles of sweets. It's got Nancy Thompson in from Nightmare on Elm Street, isn't it?
Oh, is that what it was?
And the medicine is hyponoxicil, which is the thing she takes.
Of course.
She takes the third one to try and control the dreams.
Idiots. I should have known.
Yeah,
that.
I had to Google it, and I was like, oh, damn it, why didn't I realise that? But yeah, tasty hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, it was millions, actually.
Millions?
Yeah, million sweets they'd filled it with, so it sounded like pills. So, thought, yep, having that, I'll munch those through my movie.
I may have grabbed more than one. I may have 40 badge packs of Zombeavers. But no one else was taking them.
Yeah, I do. I have to say, when we give out the prizes for Devil's Tower, the lucky winners will be getting some Zombeavers badges, Babadook stickers as well. So there you go.
That's added incentive to get your entries in, people.
Yeah, the Zombeaver buttons are good.
Oh, also, I was looking through my goodie bag just before we started this. Did you? I've got like a free rental for the horrorshow.tv. I didn't realize.
Oh, so have
I didn't realize they gave those out. So you were talking about that last week, weren't you? So I might give them a go because, yeah,
I did. I talked to the guy at the desk. They had like a stall there all weekend, and I got talking to him. They were selling steelbook versions of the Blu-ray of The Woman.
Oh, I got one of those.
Yeah, so did I. So they did well out of us. But nice. I got talking to him. I gave him one of our cards, and I said, "Yeah, by the way, the last episode we did, we gave you like the longest free advert." So he might have a listen.
And they gave us red vines. So what else can you say?
What vines?
Red vines. Red vines?
Lost me there. No.
You know what red vines are? The sweets.
Did they?
Yeah, they had a big jar of red vines when you signed up for the mailing list.
I didn't. I missed that.
That's the only reason I signed up.
I got distracted by the zombie ladies, probably.
Yes, the zombie ladies.
Yeah, I sort of gave up trying to be too shameless about getting time with people and whatever. I just decided that if anybody was dressed up, I was going to get a picture taken with them. So anybody who looked like a zombie or a werewolf or whatever, I just got a stupid picture. So that was fun.
There's nothing wrong with stupid pictures.
So that moves us on to Sunday.
Yes, which the first one was Among the Living.
Yeah. Oh, I was so disappointed by this movie.
It's an interesting one, and well, obviously it's set around. It's like 3 French schoolboys shown to be a bit troublemakers, and they go to an old abandoned film set in France, which is like a western town. Actually, no,
with a pirate ship outside.
With a pirate ship outside, which I don't know if they're trying to make a pirate western or something. I would watch that, by the way, but I have no limits. That's proven. Yeah, and it's really good. Really good opening as well. The opening was very good. I don't really want to say it because that kind of ruins it. That's very spoilery because that's kind of the whole premise of the film. So,
yeah, the plot's sort of right at the beginning, really, or how the I suppose the Gribbly ends up being the Gribbly it is right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
and this is from the makers of Inside and Livid.
Ah.
So, given that they did Inside, I was like, and because of the huge amount of comedy we'd had to this point, I was like, yes, bring on the twisted, bring on the gore, bring on the, shock me to my seat, make me feel like I'm nailed there. That's what I wanted a film to do. And I had so much hope for that. And they did pull off some really sort of creepy scenes, and it's by no means a bad movie, but I think I'd have done better not knowing who made it.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually starts this house, this spoilery bit, with like a really scrungy house and a guy and his sort of pregnant wife, and I'm like, geez, what have these guys got against pregnant women? Honestly.
Yeah.
Jeez, have you seen Inside? Come on, give him a break.
Well, it's the first film I saw, where a foot's a lethal weapon. So that was an interesting bit.
Yeah.
That was interesting. It was a bit new. A bit horrible, but there we go.
but not horrible enough.
And it's like, does every French people have because there's a one bit, there's a baseball bat someone wields, and it's a signed American baseball bat. I'm thinking that's just a cliche these days that everyone's got one of those hanging around.
Well, they print the signature on the bat, don't they?
I don't know.
Part of the production process these days.
Gordon, do you have a baseball bat in your house?
2.
Are they signed?
But they're not signed, but that's because my son played it one year, so that's why we have.
I just thought when it came to America, they kind of handed you one, saying that's for home defence. But there we go.
Maybe if I become a citizen, that's what they'll give me when they give me my certificate. It'll be, and here's your gun, and here's your baseball bat, and there's your IQ score. I'm sorry.
Ooh, steady. You want them to let you stay, Gordon?
I'm not sure.
See, is it Jose Canseco's a famous baseball player? Must have been.
You're asking the wrong person here.
Only reason I know that name is because of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When he comes up against Casey Jones, he goes, "The Jose Canseco bat? Tell me, you didn't pay money for this." Oh dear, there's a rabbit hole. Yeah, so 3 cheeky French kids.
You just quoted a line from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, the original and best.
Turtle power, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Stinging, farting, belching power. I think you'll find the lyrics on it. Anyway. Where the hell did we go there?
I have no idea how we got there. Matt, it's your fault.
I'm so sorry.
The thing I did like about this movie, while they're going around this fairground, whoever was on the set design is a metalhead, so enough respect. It just one scene just went Slayer written across one of the things, and then Slipknot on the back of a truck.
Yeah, but the Slipknot thing was really weird. No graffiti, Slipknot.
In English.
Yeah.
That's disappointing, because when I watched the trailer and saw who it was from, I turned around and said to my wife, "That's one of the movies of the festival right there."
No, sadly not.
Damn it!
And that's what I was expecting as well. Hence a disappointment. Not a bad movie, I have to stress. Like you say, this is one that does suffer from... It's at a festival with a lot of good movies. If I'd watched this when surfing 3-star movies through Netflix and I'd put this one on, I'd have been quite happy with it.
Well, it's a solid Netflix watch. It's a solid Netflix watch. You won't be disappointed if you watch it, but not a cinema film, I don't think. Not a cinema.
Okay.
No. So what was next? Faults?
I should keep opening that page. Open Windows.
Oh, was that next?
It was open. I love Open Windows.
Open Windows for my new best mate. Nacho Vigalondo.
Oh, I meant to say, I have put that video on YouTube now, and it's got your question in it, so I will link you to that.
Oh, cool, yeah, we could link to that, yeah.
That last sequence, I know it's a technical question, but that must have taken forever, the photo stitching to edit. I mean, that's enormous.
It's funny because Sasha and Raja, they were there for the whole thing. They didn't knew at all what was going to happen on screen. So when they saw it, it was like, what? It was like, there were so many cameras, they didn't know which camera was the dominating camera. So they were they were just like acting in a theater because they were not acting for any specific camera. Right. The thing is, we wanted to, every time we decided on the movie to bring something new. Even if it goes too crazy. And at the end, we wanted to make a next step on the ping-pong camera stuff you see on the trunk, on the car trunk. So instead of creating a ping-pong model, we tried to create a ping-pong space. Right. Because we needed that movie, the movie, because of the kind of the movie narrative, because of the kind of the movie visual dynamic, we wanted the last sequence to be a next step. And that is the result. It's so complicated to make that. I'm not even sure I know how we made it.
Do you know how many hours in edit?
Sorry?
Do you know how many hours in edit it might have been?
Sorry?
How many hours in the edit?
That one?
Yeah.
It's not editing, it's rendering. It's like the render.
Well, yeah.
It's like the render. Yeah, I was like, do you know about the, how do you call the Sabana Santa? They have the Vatican, they have this kind of piece of... you have the figure of Christ. Christ is like, they're naked, it's like, how do you call this? How do you call it, the saint thing when the silhouette of Jesus Christ is in this piece of cotton stuff? The shroud. The shroud. And Christ is there. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? They claim it's true. It's not. Is there like that? So the same thing with me happens in the sofa in the FX company. You can see my whole body there because every every time they were rendering, I had nothing to do. It was like I had to wait for things to happen. So it was like Jesus Christ. And I was really pain in the ass because I love writing, I love shooting, I love editing, I love all the process related to filmmaking. But the worst of all, the one I hate is waiting. I hate waiting. And if you make an FX movie like this, you have to learn how to wait. So I'm not going to make an FX movie again.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember at what point it happened, but there were a couple of difficult Q&As, and Paul sitting next to me and me, we asked a couple of questions a couple of times, and Alan FrightFest came past and he just said to us, "Brilliant questions, well done." And then when he came in with another lot from another film that had obviously showed already, obviously had a difficult Q&A.
I think it was Nymph. I think it was Nymph. He was like, "Come on, boys." Nymph, yeah. He was like, "Come on, boys." And I went, "Yeah, Wonder Twins over there need to save the day." I want some good questions
from you. Yeah, exactly. So, of course, we delivered. And I did get audio from this guy, Nacho Vigalondo.
Hi, I'm Nacho Vigalondo, director of Time Crimes and Open Windows. And you know what? I'm listening the little pod of horrors, I promise.
He did tell me to cut out that he promises, but I'm not, because I prefer it. And he's never going to listen, let's face it.
You broke your promise, Nacho. Damn it.
Oh, it's going to kill me. But Nacho directed Time Crimes, which is an absolutely fantastic Spanish language film.
Yeah.
And this guy has got so much energy and passion. He's fucking funny. Loves to make jokes about drugs and things like that when he's doing Q&A.
Yeah, I got it on video. He says, "What's the best thing to mix with cocaine? Porridge." So there we go.
Yes.
But he also said something. He said that he wants to make a kaiju film, and he wants to make it like like the original rubber suited, like they do for like Ultraman in Japan. And if he makes that, I will go watch it any day of the week. Because I think he can do it, and I really hope he gets the money for it and budget to do it. Because I'm excited if he can do it. So, because things like Pacific Rim and Godzilla have done quite well. So, but just the whole rubber suit thing might be difficult to sell. But I think he can do it. I have faith.
If anyone could do it, it's Nacho.
Nacho can do it if anyone can.
So, this film is basically about he runs a fan site for an sci-fi actress, who, funny enough, when she turns up in the fake film at the beginning, you're like, really? She's the main lead? Okay, fine. Don't get it. Okay, she's, because she's like an Angelina Jolie type, and they're like, this guy's won a competition, so for his fan site, he's going to get to interview her at this Comic-Con sort of thing. Okay. And he's in the hotel, and he's been waiting to be called down there, and then some call appears on his computer and says, haven't they told you it's not happening? She's cancelled. She's not doing it. And he's like, shit. And he says, oh, here, look at this window. And he clicks a window, and it's a camera from the event, like, that nobody knows is there. And then he sends another link, and it's a hack to her mobile phone, and he can see her through a camera of her mobile phone. And you realise this is going to be very computery, and it just goes batshit crazy from there, basically. You need to do this, whatever, and who is this guy, this hacker, and why is he helping him on the other end of the computer? And they bring in this really cool concept of like a ball-shaped camera.
Ping-pong camera, yeah.
A ping-pong camera. And they have loads of these just rattling around in a bag. And they do a load of photo stitching, so the images from all of these cameras make a sort of moving video image. It is superbly edited. It's really well put together. And it's just a really interesting, different idea. Again, not really a horror film at all.
But it's kind of like, when you realise the entire film, you're basically watching a computer screen. That's the entire film. You're watching a computer screen the entire film. And it's brilliantly done. And like Nacho was saying about how long it took them to do that. And when at the end there's a massive photo stitching thing, and they said I don't see how you direct an actor trying to make that look good when it's not even going to be live. You've got to do the photo stitching afterwards. So probably was a bitch to direct.
Yeah, but it's a fun little movie actually. Really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's probably my number 3 up there for the festival.
Really?
So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it's really nice concept, nice suspense on it, great acting. And it was like the guy who, let's call him the tech support guy, he's got a really good voice. And when he appears actually in the film, like, oh, you've got a nicer voice. Sorry, that's really horrible. But yeah, it was a good British accent. All good villains are British. So, yeah, it was good. Yeah, really enjoyed it. And it was a good bit of suspense. So, yeah.
And then what was next?
I think that one was, then it's Faults.
Faults, yeah. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. Oh, it's not. It's Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I.e. Ramona Flowers.
Yeah. Basically, a couple go to he's like a travelling sort of... he's a guy who specialises in deprogramming people who are in cults.
Very washed up, though. Okay. It's like he's had his day.
Yeah. He lives in his car, lives off book sales, owes money to his publisher, and these people go to him, look, we've lost our daughter to this cult. And you think it's going to be a scrungy cult kind of movie where it's going to go really weird, but actually the whole thing plays out in a motel room, effectively. And from that angle, it's actually really well done, because it does keep your interest.
Yeah.
Good performances, again, pretty impressive cast.
Agent Broyles from Fringe, I love him.
He was in 2 movies.
Oh, he was? What was the second one he was in?
He's in The Guest as well.
I didn't see that, so I can be excused there. Yeah.
So yeah, it's again a perfectly good movie. Not sure this was the right place for it.
No.
More of a sort of a thriller kind of thing. It makes you guess a lot of things are going on that aren't, and it's quite clever in that respect. But again, you can't really say much about it without spoiling the shit out of it.
I just don't think it's going to do good on general release. If it gets, I just don't think it's one of those films that will get people to go to it. It's
a real slow burn.
I think it's more of like an art house film. Like I think it'll do very well in like the film houses, but I just don't think it'll do very well on people on the street trying to go in and see it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with it.
Absolutely. So does that bring us to home?
That I've gone too far. There we go. That does bring us to home.
Hold on. You'll have to take this one.
Do you not remember it?
I have a blank.
Right. There's a reason Boz has a blank. It's got a really great premise, but does not deliver. It's basically, you've got this stereotypical, like, 1980s kind of punky girl out in the desert. She's fallen in love with someone after knowing him for 3 whole weeks. And they sleep together, and he goes, do you want to make some money? And he goes, go play this game with this guy. And it's basically, it's what I don't know the name. It's got pick which badge under a cup. You've got to find the badge.
That one!
Yeah, it was that one, and it's basically she wins every time, and the last time the badge is really beaten up, and goes, he's chosen you, and it says, go to the middle of the crossroads, and do something, and you have $500, and she's like, yeah, sweet.
Say your name so he knows who you are when he calls for you.
Yeah, that was it, and it wasn't really a real crossroads, because Supernatural has me saying a crossroads is a proper, like, cross junction, but that's my being spoiled. And what did she do with her soul? What did she do with her soul money? She goes and buys shitey red Nikes, which obviously is a very 80s/90 things to do, like really big red shoes. Yeah. And something happens, and it flashes forward in future to an estate agent trying to sell the house she was in. And I don't really know what to say without spoiling it, because that's a really big point of the plot next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the original thing about this movie is it doesn't follow the same protagonist from start to finish.
There's 3 of them, and that feels too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
2 would have been enough.
But is it though? Because that's the original concept. Because it's all been done before.
Oh yeah.
It's a sort of a creepy ghost house kind of. There's something in the mirror behind you, kind of scares. Right. And there are some good little scares in it.
But here's the girl who plays Santana in Glee. I'm sorry, I've watched Glee. That's a really big admission there. She's not very good in Glee, and she's not very good in this. So obviously this is a breakout kind of, I'm not singing anymore. I kept expecting her to sing. And she wasn't very good in it, unfortunately. Her acting was wooden, and I think if someone else had done that, it would have been a lot better. I think it could have, the last third of the film could have been improved if she wasn't in it. So that's really horrible.
Okay. Interesting.
But I just felt that a lot of the momentum that was built up kind of fell flat in the last third. It just wasn't carried through, and it wasn't a convincing performance. So I don't know what you thought about it, but...
Well, what's concerning is how long it took me to remember the film at all.
Yeah.
So it clearly had absolutely zero impact on me.
This is the one I drew the giraffe in.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't hate this movie, and there were some good little scares, and I remember talking about it favourably afterwards, but it's clearly all gone out of my memory.
Yeah, because I gave you a raised eyebrow look when you said, that was really good, and I went, yeah. Cause, it was good, and there were some good moments. There was some good effects when, let's say, when the demons, something demonic's coming. Very good effects on that. Yeah, it was good.
Oh yeah, that was because there was a devil in it basically, and they don't shy away from it being a devil.
No, they don't. It's
for once. It's full on horns, tail, hooves sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not. That's not a spoiler. It's very in your face from the beginning. It's a battle of good versus evil kind of thing, and there's a really good neck effect shot which I really liked, and that was quite good. But yeah, it was good, but just not great.
So it's got good little sections in it, but overall it's kind of...
Yeah, it just kind of... It built momentum, then fell flat, and it kept on going up and down like that. There wasn't a middle ground.
Right.
It was really good, then really flat, and it got quite boring towards the end. So...
Right.
I will watch it again, I think. Yeah, I need to give it another chance.
If it's on television, I'll watch it, but I don't think I'll seek it out. So...
Right, okay.
So, The Samurai.
Das Samurai.
This, Gordon, you have the whole Q&A, the audio.
That Q&A.
And this Q&A was the most awkward, bar none. This is the one Alan asked us for help with, I think, if I recall.
Yeah, I think it was that one as well.
It was either that or as a result of the questions we asked in this one, the next time he asked for some help.
Yeah, you did ask some good questions.
It was tough, and... basically, this film from Germany, The Samurai is about a cop of a small town, gets delivered a long package, a strange voice says, you need to deliver that to me. He's like, why did you have it delivered to me? He says, well, because I want you to bring it to me. And goes into a room and finds a man in a white dress with long blonde hair and red lipstick, and the package has a samurai sword in it. And then he runs away and runs around the town smashing things up, and the cop sort of tries to track him down. And he sort of ends up killing a lot of people in the town, and it ends with a chase. I'm spoiling this, by the way, because I don't expect anybody to watch it.
I'm good, because there's a couple of things I want to say, so if we can spoil it, woohoo!
Yeah, basically ends up with a chase through the woods. The guy takes his dress off while he's running away. He still has his samurai sword.
And one hell of a sword fight.
Yeah, there's sort of a sword fight at the end. The metaphor of a sword being an erect penis.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
And the best bit was that they said they couldn't afford a prosthetic, so it was Viagra. Yeah. So.
And also, the question was from Alan was so the question is, how much Viagra did this take for that shot? And they said, well, we couldn't afford actual Viagra, so we got like a cheap knockoff, so we needed 5. So
okay.
The ongoing joke is I always open with the Viagra gag, which is how much Viagra do we need for the shot?
you can tell that Pitt is sort of sick of that question. I think it was sort of five pills, but it wasn't, since we are a low budget production. We couldn't afford actual Viagra, so it was a sort of bootleg. I just hope that there have been no sort of how do you say?
Side effects.
Side effects. So no, but yeah, this was actually sort of the hardest shot to.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. To get done. So yeah, because obviously you have all the bloodshed and nice setups and stunt work, but this is sort of easily prepared. Whereas if it comes to something like that, where it's about the mood. I mean, it's not like you're getting in an actual sexual mood, but still the mood needs to be like relaxed enough to actually pull through. So we actually had to try a few times. So, yeah. But it worked out pretty well, and I think it's a lovely shot. So thank you very much.
So it's a really arty film in that respect, and it's not badly put together.
There is one or two things that are bad, because they revealed in the Q&A that they couldn't afford a special effects guy. So didn't they say that like their cameraman was a special effects guy, and in parts it's really obvious.
He's never done it before.
Yeah.
So like you're talking, baby cart type samurai decapitations, but they obviously didn't have the technology to get the spurting blood. So the only time you get like an effective blood spurt is when the guy's suspended upside down and decapitated, because gravity obviously helps blood fall out of the body.
Yes.
Stuff like that. But I think the problem was at the end, we're waiting for this director guy to give us tell us what the thing that we're not getting is. Like, what's the point of this movie? What's the artistic? What's the subtext? This is what we're trying to do. And it's almost like he's going to Q&As trying to get people to tell him what his movie's about and why he made it.
Yeah.
He didn't have an answer for anything.
I'm just connecting to your question. I didn't get the Samurai connection at all.
Okay, well, fair enough. Because I think the samurai. I mean, it's a thing. I can tell you. You know, it's this guy with the sword. So I don't know. This is just. You know, this is.
We call it a pork sword.
No, I know exactly. It's sort of, but think about it. I think like Jakob, our hero, you know, who's actually a young man who puts his sense of duty or his sense of duty to some sort of hamlet or lordship very much over his own impulses and urges. He is very much what you might call a samurai, you know. But then again, it's a much more profane reason. Not profane. Profane is the wrong word. Sorry. Profan is what we say in German, but profane is something else in English. There's a much more like mundane reason for that, which is that I have to give the character a name when I write a screenplay. So I have to give this guy a name, but he's apparently not like a normal guy who lives around the corner, so I can't call him just Jörg or Till or whatever. You know, it just wouldn't feel right even writing it. So you give him something else, some sort of moniker. My moniker was samurai. They're samurai just because of the sword, basically. And so that's because he is such an important and gravitational figure for the whole film. I found it's only fair to call the film that. Even though it's like with my last film, Cowboy, it's not really a film about cowboys, it's not really a Western at all. I think maybe it's a bit too, you know, as you said, so maybe it leaves you scratching your head, so what's the connection there? I think there is some connection with him, or with how you could apply the samurai code to our hero, Jakob.
But what's the sword? What's the symbol? Is it a symbol, maybe?
Well, you know, in the end, I think it's kind of obvious. It's a, you know, no, it's a, I mean, I will say this. It's a symbol for, you know, force and empowerment, you know? And also, of course, in the Bible. What do you want me to say? It's basically the largest dick that you've ever seen on screen. It's like to have them crossing their swords in the end. That would have been really funny, actually. Yeah. I hope that's okay. I hope the answer sort of satisfies your.
But the funniest part of it is the director of the classic Necromantic was sitting several rows back and had just watched the movie and is also a German gentleman, and he started questioning him, and the two directors had a bit of a question off.
Oh, it's the best question ever.
Basically ended up saying, well, I would not go and see a German movie called The Samurai. It's a stupid name. So you have all of this, so I'm expecting you to drop clips in, Gordon, where you feel appropriate.
And one of the hosts was like, oh, should he have called it Necromantic 3 then, to give it a more suitable name? And it was like...
I would never go to a German movie called Der Samurai.
Ah, interesting.
Because it's... no.
Okay.
Yet here you are.
Interesting, right? Interesting. You're quite interesting. No, it's
if you sell it to Great Britain, they should do.
It's sold to Great Britain.
It's already sold. It's I mean, fair enough. It's I don't know if it's a bit late in the game to change the title. I think we will have to go with it and see how it does. And
a really tacky subtitle, you know.
Let's just go with Necromantic 3.
No, but you know, a really tacky subtitle actually might work. I don't know, but let's talk about it. Maybe you have some ideas.
Yeah. It was awkward at best. So I did try to interject with what I thought would... I tried to get everybody off the... Let's not talk about the concept or the penis anymore. I thought, let's take it a bit technical and ask a question about how it was made, sort of thing. But
one more, if anybody... yes.
So I just want to get a bit technical. The end decapitation stroke ejaculation scene, I'm guessing, in the metaphor of it, that's beautifully done. Can you technically explain how that was done?
Well, it was the most
head. Remote head.
Yes, so there's a remote head for the camera that sort of does this sort of movement. So we had to rent an operator for that to have that, and it was shot with at 120 frames per second, so that we had the slow-mo, and then. And it was really hard. We had this dummy torso, which looked really strange, and it was filled with pipes. It was all self-built. The guy who did our special effects, he's not a special effects guy at all, but he's very enthusiastic. He's also a director, actually. He's a fellow filmmaker, but he helped us a lot by doing this because we couldn't have afforded any proper. And so he built this whole intestines of this thing out of pipes from a hardware store and everything, and he put a compressor behind it, and then he just stuffed all kinds of fake blood, but also the smoke in there, and it was very hard to sort of get it come in the right sort of sequence, because you only have like 1 or 2 seconds actually to get it all done. And if one thing, for example, if the blood comes too early, it will just basically crash down on the smoke and nothing will happen, and it will the sparks will not ignite and whatnot. So it was a lot of trial and error doing that beforehand. We made 5 shots of it, I think, and it was the third one we used. Oh, the fireball that actually happens, you know? Yeah. That was a mistake. So that was because the sparks ignited the smoke, because the smoke was so hot. It was a bit, I think everybody was kind of, oh, that might have been dangerous, don't know, but it only happened once, and we obviously took that shot.
It was kind of awkward, but at the same time brilliantly funny. And apparently the next screening, they just walked out. They didn't do the Q&A.
Really?
They had such a hard time in the first 2. That's what I heard.
I'm not surprised, because they did get... To be honest with you, the title's the problem. And I said, if they called it Lone Wolf, that would have been a great title. But I did see on the sell table, there was actually a film called Lone Wolf there. So, but if they called it something else, it would have... I think a lot of the people's problems would have gone away. Not very suitable name. Yeah, he has a samurai sword.
Yeah, you're expecting something different, aren't you? Exactly.
And it's almost like, if they'd given him an axe, it wouldn't be any... It's like, not like samurai sword is very important. That's the point. It just didn't feel like no motivation. If they give him like a big axe, it probably would have been a better film. Better effects or something, better like movements. Oops, sorry.
If they called it Killer in a White Dress, that would have been better, you know. Something like that. So... Yeah, that was one of the awkward Q&As anyway.
If they called it like the White Slaying or something, you know, it's like a white wedding, this kind of like a white wedding pun or something, that would have been cool. It was kind of like wedding-y dress, wasn't it? So
very strange. You wouldn't expect a film called The Samurai to come from Germany, so...
No, and I think that was the argument.
Yeah, I was expecting some sort of Japanese Tokyo Gore Police complete nut job.
I was from the picture in the program, because I didn't watch any of the trailers, you kind of think that, because you've got a very shadowy figure holding a head. So you're thinking, is it going to be something cool like that? But no.
No, not at all.
Oh, disappointing.
And it's like, we brought the actress with us as well. What, the actress who's in the car for 5 minutes in the movie?
She's going to be a big star. She's really important for the film. She's not in the film!
She gives him a lift from the woods back to town, has a 5-minute chat, and then dies. Way!
And they're saying, wasn't she wonderful? No! Because she didn't do anything. I think she said
you didn't give her time to be wonderful.
I think she was actually like one of the directors as well, art director or something. I think she did something else as well. I think that's why she was there.
Sorry.
But he was actually she was actually his girlfriend, so I think that helped as well.
Ah,
yeah,
right.
Because he kept on feeling her arse, so I think that was kind of a hint. So yeah.
I didn't even notice that. Oh dear. Anyway, right. So the last film of the night, Gordon, was It was Stage Fright. Stage Fright.
Yes.
I fucking love this movie. I've seen it again since I got home. I watched it with Lavinia the other night. Yep. I love the killer, basically because he's metal. Straight afterwards, I went and bought the credits song and checked the name of the guy who was doing the singing. Apparently, he's just a music guy. I thought he was like a band singer because that whack-it scream he does. And you know, this okay, to put it in context, this is a horror film that is a musical that has Meatloaf in it.
Yes.
And is a parody of the Phantom of the Opera being done at Geeky Band Camp for performing kids, summer camp thing. And they're doing it in the style of kabuki.
In feudal Japan.
Yes, in feudal Japan. And he steals a kabuki mask and slashes it up a bit to become the killer, basically, the bad guy. And he uses 2, serrated discs. And... the music is brilliant. There's not a lot of it.
It says, I'm gay, but not that way, except me. Yeah, I am. So.
Yeah. I'm actually gay. Yes, I like guys. It's really good. And just you've got this great juxtaposition of, we're going to fight. We're going to win. You know, one of these kind of songs, and the killer's going, fuck your songs, fuck you all. And it's laying over the top in a 2-part harmony. It's I love the sense of humour. Some gruesome, little moments, some great kills. Meatloaf is completely underused.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted him to do his full-on Meatloaf whaley singing at some point, and they didn't utilise that at all. Misstep. They killed Minnie Driver really fast, which was a good thing.
Yes.
Spoilers, sorry. That is the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Well, that's the first. Yeah, exactly. So that's not really a big spoiler.
And our main girl, who she seems really plain at first when you first see her, and then obviously when they dress her up at the end to play the part in the play, she's quite stunning, and she has her most amazing gravity-defying dress I've ever seen. It scores on the boobometer without showing any, really, but it's just because it scores on the boobometer for artistic engineering brilliance with boobs. Because how did they keep her in that dress whilst running around, jumping over tables, all that kind of stuff?
Duct tape and prayers.
Yeah, just defied all physics. Incredible. But my favourite thing is because it's the last movie. And look, Paul was hilarious for this. The guy sitting next to us, because the minute the last movie ended, he was like, "See you in the morning, bye." Fucking gone out the door like a rocket. And then we're like, got to change my visor, got to get the bag ready, all this pre-bike, getting on the bike stuff we have to do.
Yeah.
The credits are playing behind us, and it's like, basically, this is the credits song. And he's singing, why are you watching the credits? And how are you watching this movie? Did you pirate this movie? Pirating's wrong. Actually, I'm going to pirate a shitload of movies after this. Absolutely brilliant song.
Yeah.
So we stay to the end of the credits for that.
And so the tagline should be, "Do you want another slice of meatloaf?" I love this song.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Yes.
It was really funny.
Awesome
great way to end on the Sunday night. And it was a great way, because I feel Sunday wasn't as good as Saturday, but this kind of topped it off very nicely. So
it did. I'm glad the films were in the order they were in. If I'd have seen The Samurais, the last movie, I'd have gone home on a downer.
Yeah.
So I really liked how it played out.
If I'd been in my original screen, that's what would have happened for me. So you would have been really happy seeing that, and I would have been like, I'm
going to go home and dream about penises. Yeah.
I'm so glad you liked Stage Fright. I was really nervous when waiting for you to come out of that. So please like it, please like it.
It's a musical, Gordon. I've been, this is the guy I just saw the Book of Mormon for the 4th time yesterday. So I love musicals, so it was made for me, that movie, and it's metal. There's some really good metal riffs at the end, and it's just, I love that kind of stuff.
It's like when he's singing and he's slicing up the photos, and he's got his guitar saying, "Oh, musical theatre's really crap" and stuff, and it's like, well, you're doing a musical performance for yourself right here, so where's that going? But there we go.
Brilliant. And the little girl with the lisp. they put in a line, a girl with the really strongest lisp in the world. She talks like this. And they made her say the word narcissist. It's just so mean, but hilarious. Now, the next morning, Monday morning, is the first time we deviated and we actually went to one of the Discovery screens. Now, the thing I discovered about FrightFest is quite... There's films running all the time that you can't see. Yeah. And it's really frustrating because unless you've done a shit ton of homework, you don't know. And people go, I'm going to the... Paul spent half his time in the Discovery screens.
I think Paul probably had the best festival experience. He knew... He always came in for the good ones and never really missed a great one. He never did.
Yeah. Right. We missed one, came back, and he went, "What were you doing?" "Oh, we were in a Discovery screen." Exmoor was fucking brilliant. Oh, great.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, apparently Exmoor was good. I sort of looked at it and went, yeah, well, okay. This other one, we went to see a film called Altergeist.
Okay.
Which was like a more modern take on a spooky ghost thing. It's a haunted vineyard. And a team of paranormal investigators go and investigate. And it's good to a point. And I saw what they were trying to do. Again, I can't say what that was because it would spoil it if somebody wants to see it. But it loses its way at the end, and it's 20 minutes too long.
Yeah, and the thing is, it gets points for me because it's got Alexis Cruz in it, who was Scar in Stargate, original movie in SG-1, and I love him, and I always have, and I've met him a couple of times. He's a really nice, genuine bloke, but he gets killed off relatively soon, so that's when the magic kind of ended. So, well, I did actually send him a message saying I really enjoyed the film, and he's like, "Oh, thanks." And I sent another message saying, "Oh, do you mind if I ask you some questions about it?" He was like, "No, not really." So,
well, no, he didn't mind, or no, he didn't want.
No, he didn't want me to. Because I've since read online that he didn't have a very good experience with filming the film. Apparently, that's what the rumor is online. So he didn't leave on the best of terms. So, poor Alexis.
The things with Exmoor look like a found footage thing because it's like they attach 42 cameras to trees and rocks and blah blah blah. And I just thought, nah, sure. I'm kind of done with them really. But from by all accounts, we were told that was a good movie. So, Sod's Law, the one we choose to miss, was good.
It's always the way, isn't it?
I think at this point, though, we were really, really, really tired. I nearly fell asleep in this one. It was because I was just so tired, and there was really dull moments, and like the ending wasn't satisfying, and it was 20 minutes too long. And the location it was shot in was wonderful. Like, they had a really nice location of a really big like winery, lovely historical buildings, but they didn't really use everything to great effect, and just didn't feel put together properly. If you know what I mean.
No.
Yeah,
it was a bit all over the place.
Didn't really flow properly, and
yeah, they show you a guy at the beginning who's clearly dead, and then you find out that he died in his caravan later on.
Yeah, how did he survive
okay.
that?
The fuck?
He got. Alright, I'm just going to say, because it's in the beginning, he kind of got boiled, I think, or whatever happened inside that big container. And it's like
he gets slammed from wall to wall and thrown up to the top. It's like a big distillery.
And
thing.
he makes it back to his shitty weed RV in the middle of the forest. How the hell did that happen?
I don't know.
And he looks perfectly. He doesn't look like that damaged when he's on when you see him. It's like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah,
Wizards did it.
We're being harsh. We are being harsh because it's not a bad movie. It's a good little ghost movie.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. So. I will watch it again, but I'm hoping maybe there's a director's cut of it or something that if it comes out, if someone got hold of it, maybe cut it in places, made it 20 to 30 minutes shorter. I think it would be a lot better if they cut some of it.
Yeah, just needs tightening up.
Yeah.
So that brings us on to Alleluia, I believe. This was it's French, isn't it? Yes, and done by the director of Calvaire, which I hated.
Oh.
So yeah, that's Alleluia. Next was...
really?
I think the way we coined it whilst watching the film was, I'm not really into granny porn, so I don't really want to watch this.
Yeah.
It's based on a sort of Black Widow couple who they get together and then they go, he's supposed to seduce the women, get their money, and then they kill them and move on to the next one. Okay. Based loosely on a true story, but two very unhinged people, a woman who's willing to just leave her daughter for months to go off and do this with the man she's fallen for.
He's a con man, basically. He's a grifter. So
yeah.
Right.
And anytime he gets near the woman he's supposed to be seducing, she freaks out, comes in and kills him. There's a random song in the middle of it that she sings for no apparent reason, just before she cuts somebody's foot off, which is actually quite well done.
Yeah.
Right, just off a dead body. So.
And every time they kill someone, it's like, okay, we've got to go to home base now and get rid of them, very Breaking Bad style.
Yeah.
They get rid of it the same way they do in Breaking Bad. So.
I have no words.
And do you know what the worst bit was? The director says, "Oh, this is the second in a trilogy I'm making. I'm making another film along the same lines and the same basis." It's like, oh Jesus Christ, he's making another one.
So Calvaire was about men thinking another man is a woman and all fighting together because they want to go and do nasty things to his rear end. And this film is about them going off and sleeping with old people. So he's making Necromantic 3 as the third part in the trilogy, I think. It's the only way he can go now.
Well, if they'd done that, that would have made it the fifth film. So they never know. There'll be 10 points next year.
I did not like Calvaire at all.
No,
and it's raved about. And there was a guy there, and he just sort of did the Q&A, and I was like, I'm not talking to you. So I just sort of sat and absorbed it. I didn't record it. I was just like, oh fuck. And then he sort of at the side there, this guy came down, and he was a bit of a, I think he was a film student. He came down, oh, I absolutely loved Calvaire. It was fantastic. And this film was brilliant. It was so artistic. It was so just like, stop blowing smoke up his ass. It's like, because these are the kind of films that people don't like. So hipsters will go, I really like this film, so that they look different.
Right.
He's like, oh, I like this because nobody else does. No, nobody else likes it because it's shit. So, sorry, I'm going on my rants again.
I hope they put that on the DVD box. Just like, that's the best review we could find.
I must remember that there is a chance that some people could listen to this because it will have the words FrightFest on the show. I mean, the fact it's going to be hours long will probably put them off, thankfully. But I should remember that this thing can come full circle. I'm going to take this point to make a bit of a confession, okay? We kept it kind of quiet, but the last show we put out, which was the Devil's Tower special, which is a movie I liked, okay? Owen did make reference to the producer, Dom. Now, you may have heard the word Dom on our show before, because it's one Mr. Dominic Byrne. Now, we said some rather unpleasant things about Mr. Byrne some time ago.
Just a little.
We're not fans of his movies, and I think you've got to be fair. If you don't like something, say you don't like it. But when I went back and listened to how I said I didn't like his movies, I was really unnecessarily harsh. Because I realised nobody makes a movie to make other people hate it. Everybody's trying to make something they think other people are going to enjoy. And it's fucking hard work. And I know it's hard work. And having stood 7 feet away from Dominic Byrne this last week, I just had this guilt thing. And I just want to say, sorry, I was a bit too harsh. I didn't like Cut. I'm sorry. I saw what you were trying to do. I didn't like it. But I was a bit harsh in the way I dealt with that. So I'm sort of taking it back a little bit. I don't know how Gordon feels because he's not in the same situation. But you do a podcast and you think, I'm never gonna see this person. I'm never gonna be this, but they're never gonna hear what I say. I'm just a tin pot fucking podcaster. And then you're like, shit, he's there.
Yes.
Like, if you ever had heard it and knew who I was, and I was wearing a little Pod of Horrors t-shirt, I just thought, he's bigger than me. He just flattened me. He just walk over and punch me in the face. So, yeah.
I think in all fairness, though, that it's not just us who have said negative things about him. If you look at the IMDb page and all that things.
Yeah.
We just happened to be very vocal a couple of shows in a row. And it was like, oh my God, what are we doing? And it was also around the time we had just discovered Bloody Cuts and what could be done on a smaller budget type thing. So I think that was more the frustration, is you knew Tristan was coming up with White Lily, and you've got very talented people who could take £50,000 and do something amazing with it, and it looks as though they did £50,000 and he did his best with it, and his best just didn't kind of come up to scratch, shall we say.
But all I can say is, looking at Devil's Tower as a producer, and especially the shit they went through making that film, he clearly did an amazing job there. So but who the fuck am I to say, stick to producing, don't direct anymore? Do you know what I mean? So I felt I had to say something, and I could have just pretended it all went away, but I don't know. I may ask Gordon to cut all this out yet.
I heard it. I've heard the apology. I will tell the world.
So So I'm trying to be less harsh in my reviewing of films, because there is a chance that people involved could listen and be upset by the way I chose to go about it. So to say a film is shit is pretty harsh, but Alleluia was shit.
Yeah, Alleluia was crap. That's being polite. It was boring. I added a helmet to my giraffe at this point, so it's just I was doodling and people kept giving me weird looks. So like,
but it's one of those. If you look at the way it's made, the way it's acted, there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's put together well. It's well shot. Everything else. But for me, if I'm not engaging with the characters, if I don't engage with the plot line and there isn't a good resolution at the end and so on, I'm not saying it has to be smiles and happy and roses, but it has to give me something. And in both of his films, I felt that I didn't care enough about the people involved to be invested in the movie. Well, and that's the problem.
Well, actually, I'll say one redeeming thing is, like, the guy who played like the con man. Further on the film, you could kind of see he was regretting what he was doing, especially with the last family, which had the little girl in it. You could kind of see he was regretting his actions, and at one point he nearly went and changed his mind and defended the family, but didn't. So that
would have made it a better film.
If he'd had that redemption moment, and actually he'd had his happily ever after, because that's what I thought they were going to do. Because actually he had two options there, and he went with the bat crazy woman, which is not what you do. You go with the people with a nice big house and ponies. So yeah, ponies and rainbows. Way not the woman who looks like she got hit over the face with a shovel. So sorry, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to say that he looked as though he regretted being in the movie. That's where you were going with it.
Well, no, because he's the guy in Calvert, and the third one in the trilogy will star him as well, because he's the linchpin that holds it all together.
Well, he's
not a bad actor.
He's the linchpin.
He's not a bad actor.
Wow, that really says a lot. Sorry.
Okay, move on.
Saucer broke to table too. Okay, VHS viral.
Oh, God, there's a third one.
No, the next one was Nymph.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because I didn't see VHS viral because I went home after Nymph.
Very good point, Nymph.
Because I was going to go home after Alleluia, but then I was like, I can't have my FrightFest end on that film. So that's why I actually stayed an extra 2 hours.
Yep, and saw something only slightly better. Okay, Nymph. I have a signed poster card for Nymph. Matt is laughing because I didn't try and get it.
Okay.
So basically, the winner of Devil's Tower will also be getting a signed mini poster of Nymph, signed by the director. Now,
whether they want it or not.
That doesn't mean that's the last one, because I also have one that says 2 bars signed by the director. So let me explain how this happened, okay? So this movie happened, and there's a Q&A afterwards, and they said, we've got some prizes here, we'll give them out to people who ask questions.
They're the best questions.
Again, well, any questions, I think it was, because at the end of it, people weren't that inspired to ask questions. And it was all... And it was what's the grumpy? Is it Ian?
Yeah, it was Ian,
the Scottish guy, one of the FrightFest guys. He's really funny because he's really dry and a bit. They call him the miserable shit because he's always like, fuck you, you know. So, and he's like, oh, you miserable bunch of bastards! You're not asking any questions, are you? So I was like, oh, okay, I'll ask a question. Now the leading lady in this, she was there, and she's not uneasy on the eye, and she spends a fair amount of time in a swimsuit in water in this film. Now. So the question I asked her was, it all looks very sunny and idyllic, but I bet that water was fucking freezing, was it? She's like, yes, it was so cold. And the swimming pool was actually colder than the sea, for these scenes. And the back of this card has a picture of her coming out of the swimming pool in her swimsuit. But yes, so because of that, they said, oh, come forward and get your prizes. I was like, I only asked a question to help out. I didn't really want... Okay, so I'll go up. So the director's standing there and he's like, oh, yeah, who should I sign this to? And I went... Yeah, look, I'm involved with the podcast, and what I'd like is if you could just sign a copy of this, and we could give it away in a competition. And he's like, okay, fine, yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll do 2, and I'll put your name. What's your name? I'll put your name on the other one.
The look on your face when you came back from him was priceless. You're like, I don't want this.
Okay. The good things about Nymph, okay? It's a mermaid movie, right? And it's an evil mermaid movie. And it's shot in Montenegro. It's a Serbian film, not that Serbian film. The director made the same joke in the Q&A. And basically, some people go on holiday, blah, blah, blah. They end up going to this island which has like a prison fort on it, which is an amazing location.
Oh, it looks amazing. Like, idyllic it looks. And it must have been so good to film there.
And obviously he found it and thought it's really, really good to film here. So Nymph was the idea.
Well, it looked like he found the location. Was like, what film can I get away using this for? That's really what it felt. I was going to ask for that, but I said that's a bit rude. Asking you, did you make a film because you found a castle?
What I also found quite funny is some of the press stuff I saw around FrightFest. They were basically saying, "Oh yes, and the mermaid herself is here." It's like, no, she's not the mermaid. she's the main lady in the film, but she's not the mermaid. Anyway, so they discovered this thing: mermaids can only really kill you if you're in the water. So basically, the mermaid has a trained slave bitch man fisherman who has a hook on a chain, and he throws the hook at people, sticks it through them, drags them to the mermaid. Basically, he just feeds her. Basically, so the whole thing about this scary mermaid, you only really see her in the last 10 minutes of the movie, and it's people running around this prison being chased by this creepy old I know what you did last summer dude with the 3-headed hook thingy.
Well, isn't he like some kind of like Cold War Russian officer or something, or?
Yeah, and she keeps him alive to feed her or whatever.
Yeah.
Now they managed to get let me get his name right. Franco Nero from Django Unchained, Die Hard 2, very famous actor. Managed to get him involved, and he basically rewrote large portions of the script, apparently. Now, the script writer was standing with the director, and I could see his face, and he was like, yeah, he fucking did as well.
and the funny thing was, it says, oh yeah, the last line, that was Franco's decision to be like, that was the worst bit! It was like, yes. It's a really stereotypical line at the end saying, oh, and Franco put that in himself, we're really proud of that. I said, you shouldn't be! That ruined the end!
We laughed, and it wasn't supposed to be funny. Okay, so the film starts with a quote from Moby Dick, okay? And the film ends with Franco with a trident, like a fishing thing, with the mermaid on the floor. From hell's heart I stab at thee, and kills her. Completely deadpan serious, okay? If this film had had a bit of tongue-in-cheek, if that stuff had been done ironically, it would have been really funny.
Yeah.
But it takes itself entirely too seriously. Now, that's the bad stuff. The good stuff is the CG stuff in the water could have looked very Sharknado. It could have looked really shit. But what?
I will defend Sharknado's CG till the end of the universe.
Oh, come on, it's not their fault. They didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah, I think it looks good, though.
They did really well with the effects underwater.
Oh, yeah, they look good.
And at no point did it take me out of it. At no point did I think, she's just wearing green trousers. And the sort of the prosthetics on her and stuff like that. It did a really good job of making her creepy and dangerous looking when they were in the water. She was in the water, but again, get out of the water. You're perfectly safe.
Well, she was like a little seal when she went onto land. She could barely. She was like doing like flopping on. But they also did very well. Like the whole mermaid song thing they were trying to do. That was a really creepy sound effect through like their old prison, and that was really good. That actually really set the motion for it because they had it like they've got a well in the middle of the garden, and like the music was coming out the well. So it made it sound amazing.
So the look of the movie and everything else is good, but I think it suffers from maybe these guys are from Serbia. They've done it in English, so it's not a subtitled movie. They got a girl pretending to be American. I don't know if she's pretending to be American or she's just lived there a while and she's got this kind of American twang to her voice. But the conceit is that she's come from America to visit them in Montenegro. So there are bits they did really well. It got an official selection at Brussels International Film Festival. But I think because maybe... I wonder if they'd done it in their own language, it maybe have been funny. Mind you, wasn't he a writer Irish? Oh, I got that mixed up with someone else. I don't know.
He might have been, actually. But I'll be honest with you, I wasn't paying that much attention to him.
He just seemed really unimpressed that most of his script had been rewritten.
Yeah, he honestly just looked, I don't want to be here, I just want to go home, and that was it. I want to go for a drink. He just did not seem happy. Yeah. And a lot of the people things were criticising, he was like, well, that wasn't my decision, kind of thing that he was saying. So, like...
Yeah. I missed opportunity because a lot of the components really were in place, and they could have done a lot better. I think a little bit of knowing comedy would have gone a long way in this movie. It just takes itself far too seriously. So, a bit of a shame.
Well, if they'd Dead Snowed it would have been brilliant. If it was done like in the same vein of Dead Snow, I would have loved that. It had to be a comedy film. I know we saw a lot of comedy films. If it had been a comedy film, would have been way up there. Maybe done in their own language would have been brilliant because then they'd be a lot more comfortable in it, and the dialogue would have flowed a bit better than it did. And I think, some of the phrasing was a bit off as well. It just seemed that that's not how people talk sometimes as well. So I don't know how well they were translating it. So it was an alright film. It just, for my last film on the festival, I was like, oh, okay, bye-bye. So, yeah.
It sounds as though Monday's been a bit poor.
Well, until VHS Viral.
Which I went home for, which I should have stayed.
You should have stayed. This had another section directed by Nacho Vigalondo, my new best mate.
Hey, you didn't get a photo with him. He's my new best mate.
Insert sound effect here.
Hi, I'm Nacho Vigalondo, director of Time Crimes and Open Windows, and you know what? I'm listening the little pod of horrors, I promise.
Yeah, I missed a trick there, didn't I? I always do that. It's another VHS thing. So basically, you've got some short video things, some of which are really cool, and held together by a very thin, doesn't really work, overarching plot. And this is the most batshit one of all. It's just it's an ambulance running around and people chasing it, and I have no idea why. And then they stop it, and it's full of video gear, and it plays these videos as people run around chasing the ambulance. I don't understand. So whatever the whole thing linking it together was completely lost on me on this one. But we had some of the best little short films in this one. Now, I'm trying to think who the directors are. Directors Justin Benson, Greg Bishop, Aaron Moorhead, Marcel Sarmiento, Nacho Vigalondo. And I'm just going to talk about the Nacho one, really, because we've been going very long. Basically, a guy accidentally... Well, no, he's been building a portal in his basement, and it works. Okay? And the other side is him, who's just done exactly the same thing, and is standing there with a camera.
I need to see this. Like, I already know I need to see this now.
It's like, hola, Hola. They sort of look at each other, and they basically swap sides and go into each other's house. It's parallel dimension thing. Okay? So the wife is the same, and there's, you know, you don't see much of the guy coming into our world, because obviously we know what our world is like, so it focuses mainly on the guy who goes into the other dimension. And he basically goes upstairs, and there's two naked guys sitting on the sofa, and his wife is there, and she's like, this is normal. And there's candles on the floor, and a frame, and a bag of what looks like guts hanging over the candles. She's like, do you want to go first, or do you want them to go first? What? And it kind of goes on from there, and it's batshit, and it's brilliant, and it's twisted, and very funny.
Oh, I wish I'd stayed now.
Yeah. Most inventive use of a penis, and most inventive design of a vagina in that particular thing there. But I really can't say anything else without spoiling it, but it is an absolute must-watch. There's a kind of cool little one with kids on skateboards who decide to go to like Tijuana or somewhere to find some good skating in like a park thing, and accidentally wake up some behemoth demon in the sluice way, and it's all like voodoo and stuff, and all these skeletons come up and they have to kill them all. And there's some really cool little action sequences in that, and they've all got like GoPros on, shooting around and hitting people with skateboards and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. Parallel Worlds was vicious, of course. Oh, Dante the Great, that was the first one, and it's basically about a guy who finds a magical cape, and he just turns him into a really famous magician. And he could like just do cool shit with his cape, like teleport and make things just literally appear and disappear. And it's a really cool take on what would happen if somebody actually had those kind of magic powers. That is a really good little set piece as well. So actually, of the VHSs, it's up there. It's one of the better ones. What I would actually do, and I would actually quite like to do this, is buy all three and then take my favourite ones from all three and make one really good VHS film. And just ignore the shit that pulls it all together, because none of that works in any of them.
Yeah.
But having seen that, Nacho Vigalondo, sorry if I'm worshipping him too much, but I love this guy.
Oh, I agree. He came off like a really nice guy, and yeah, everything I've seen of him so far I've really liked, so yeah, you may worship him.
Thank you.
But if I come next time, if I come to your flat and if I see a little poster of like candles to him or something, I might get a bit worried. Like, what's this dead body on the floor? Nacho must be fed. Nah, I'll be like, yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah, that'll be next to the Nymph poster. Oh, and there was a film we should have watched, but again, it was on a fucking Discovery screen and we missed it. I really wanted to see Wolf Cop.
I did as well. I really did as well.
Wolf Cop.
My Wolf Cop poster is on my living room wall, and it looks fucking brilliant. It's huge. We came down and they said, take one small poster, one big poster. They just had them all lined up on the floor. I think you've gone by them, Matt.
Oh, making me feel worse about going.
I was looking at them and I was like, oh, look, there's an Alleluia poster. Nope. Oh, there's a Nymph poster. Nope. So I just looked at it and went, oh, the Wolf Cop poster is one of those traditional hand-painted, no photography. It's just fantastic. So, yeah, Lavinia was a little bit resistant at first, but I didn't give her a choice. It's stuck on the wall. I haven't managed to get away with sticking my FrightFest poster up yet, but I will find
Oh, you did manage to get it then?
Yes, I have it. It's probably going to go in my recording room, though, that one.
Cool.
So, yeah, that was our crazy weekend. There was a last film, The Signal, which stars Lawrence Fishburne. It's called The Signal, and to be honest, I don't know anything about it. I kept it that way so I wouldn't feel bad for missing it.
We decided pretty early on we weren't seeing that. We decided like on Friday we weren't watching it.
The way I did it was basically it's a sci-fi science-y type film, and I came to see horror films mainly, so I didn't mind missing it. I will catch it at some point. So I had to get home because it was a school day the next day. Next year I'll plan it better, and I will take the Tuesday off, and I will go to the after party and get pissed with Nacho Vigalondo. Because I'm sure he'll have made something else and be there next year.
Well, I plan to get like a hotel room like on the Monday to the Tuesday, so I can do like just like kind of crash after the festival. And next year I'm going to do Sleepy Q. Yeah,
definitely. So yeah, sorry Gordon, just talked to you for 3 hours, but
hey, no, that's awesome though. I mean, I was really, really worried because I had watched all the trailers, or as many trailers as I could find, and we talked about on the last episode 26. I think I mentioned it.
Yeah,
and I think I'd hoped that I was going to put up a blog post about it, but then I was like, no, I can't, because I was really struggling to find a lot of redeeming stuff to say about any of the trailers. Because a lot of them looked awful.
Okay.
And I was like, oh no, I can't put that up and have someone and you read it or talk about it. And I was trying to kind of maintain all negativity I had about it going into it, and I'm so glad I was wrong. Because I was really worried that this was going to be your big thing for FrightFest, and you were going to have like 3 good movies and the rest be crap.
No,
it seems as though it was the other way around.
I was blown away, and it feels like we missed so many good films on Discovery. There was one I really wanted to see, based on what I heard about it afterwards, and that was Truth or Dare. Apparently it was just blood, so much blood, is what I heard somebody say.
That would have been like really nice to break up the comedy as well.
Yeah, it would have been. Honeymoon, I'd like to have... I did most of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Julia looked interesting. Wolf Cop, the Canal Guy, no, not so interested in that. Now, somebody... I went to a meet-up last night, and somebody was telling me there was one where basically somebody uses a fuel pump to fill someone full of excrement until he explodes. I'm curious to know what film that was.
That
hear anything about
that
it.
reminds me of Hood of Horrors. So...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember the caviar bit? That's kind of the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I suppose it is, yeah.
I don't think I need to see that.
Digging Up the Marrow, that was Adam Green's film. He's a FrightFest staple. Apparently that was good fun. It's just like there's so many films I still need to see, which is
that
good.
was on the Discovery screen.
Yeah.
Interesting why they didn't put it on the big screen.
Creep, I think I heard some good things about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about Creep.
Showpieces looked interesting, although I wasn't willing to give up anything to see that. So that was the Alan Moore one.
Right.
That was a bit of a sort of a compendium piece. So
okay,
I wasn't willing to risk that. There was Film to Be Confirmed. No, that's not. So it's just, the event's finished and it says Film to Be Confirmed. I'm like, okay, fine.
Oh, that great one. That's awesome. I've heard good things about that one.
Expedition got some buzz. That was a dinosaur movie. Yeah, so I had some people buzzing about that coming out. Dock of the Dead, I don't think that got great reviews.
Oh, that's disappointing. I'd like to have seen that. That seems interesting.
Yeah, Truth or Dare, I think that's probably the one I want to see most out of those lists. And then there were the retrospectives, Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, I only watched it the other week, so I'm like, I didn't want to go and watch it again, even though Freddie was there, you know. So, you just want to be in 2 places at once half the time. It just makes it more difficult.
You need to build a portal in your spare room and bring the other boss through, and then you can both see all the films.
Yes.
There you go.
But then if he might be the boss that doesn't like horror films, you'd be like, oh, it was a bit gruesome, so I went and got a latte instead. So, yeah.
Oh, dear. So yeah, that was FrightFest. It was awesome. It was my first one. I loved it.
Mine as well.
Yeah. I didn't find sort of interacting with others all that easy because it's quite a cliquey sort of setup. So I think maybe once you've been a few times, people get to know you a little bit. It's a bit better. But you know, Alan Frightfest, my new best mate, along with Nacho Vigalondo. So.
Oh, yeah, he has no choice. He has to sit next to us next year. Everyone who's sitting around us, you have to sit next to us next year. Exact same screen. That's how it's got to be. We had a good team.
Okay.
We had a good team. It was fine.
I am sure they all listened to this.
Yeah, sure. They said they would. You said you would.
I'm sure the cards I gave them didn't end up in the bottom of the bag with all the other promotional gumph they were given at the weekend. I would actually really like to know because I've just been giving out these cards wherever now, just like yeah, have my card. It's got none of my personal details on, but enjoy.
I've got something really boring to say as well. I've got to say, the bag they gave us is really good. The bag with all the freebies in, I use it as my bag now. It's a very high quality bag, and that's really boring.
I didn't know I was getting a goodie bag. I didn't know we were getting a goodie bag. I got the film with a girl in her pants, which is good. What's that called? Unborn. I don't even remember the cover of it. And I got Saw 6.
Yeah, it's better than one I got.
Oh, cool.
You got The Hike?
Yeah, The Hike. Want to go for a hike? That's only funny now because of that film. Otherwise, it would have been disappointing.
Hey, it's better than I got. I think I went 1 year and got Cry Wolf, and I went in the second year and got Cry Wolf.
Oh.
I know what to get you for Christmas. Cry Wolf.
Hey.
And I think I watched it both times. So, more fool me.
So, if anybody has been given a card, more importantly, if anybody was at FrightFest and you listened to this, A, sorry for the show, and B, let us know you listened. It'd be interesting to know.
Yes, please. So I'm glad you said I had a fun time.
Yeah.
Sounds as though you're going back next year.
Yeah, and I really, really want to win the lottery, and just so you can come 1 year with us. So
that would be awesome.
Only way it's going to happen. But
yeah,
that would be the most awesome.
I'm already planning for the sleepy queue. I'm going to have my deck chair. I want to get like a little mini fridge, and I want to get like a mini barbecue. Maybe I'm thinking hot dogs in the middle of Leicester Square, and that would just be amazing. I said this to people in front. Apparently, people already do that. Apparently, there's so much shenanigans in the sleepy queue. Like they moved their queue to the cinema across the road to mess with the people queuing for like one of the kids' films. And so they had 300 like goths. They said basically people with like metal clothing standing in the queue for a kids' film just to mess with people. So sounds like fun.
I'm sure it is. Well, thank you to both. I have now a long list of movies that I have to add to my long list of movies.
Yeah.
To watch, but very quickly, both of you. What's the one to watch out of all of them? What is your
Dead Snow 2
movie of the festival?
Dead Snow 2.
Dead Snow 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeffrey must live again.
No question. Yeah.
I want everyone.
Best ending.
I want his official name to be Jeffrey. That's my goal for this year. I want everyone to call him Jeffrey. So.
It wasn't that enthusiastic. It was just.
And every time, like when he'd pop back up, he'd be like, "Yes, she's alive," kinda.
Yeah, show stealer. And I was actually. There's one other funny story before we go. I was standing in the lobby. I can't remember when. Matt had gone somewhere else, I think. And the horror TV, the horror channel were there with a camera, and they were doing like Vox Pops interviewing people. And I've done the thing where you try and get Vox Pops. I've done the interview and the camera work for it, so I know what it's like. So I thought, the camera said, "You want to be on camera?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come." So I'm thinking, "Yeah, I do podcasts. We used to talk to people and stuff." And started talking to her. I said, "Yes, I'm a FrightFest virgin." And the guy behind the camera sort of interrupted. Went, "No, can you just say FrightFest virgin?" I thought he said, "Can you not say that?" So I did like 2 more takes, and they're looking at me. "Oh, do you want to go again?" I was like, "What was wrong with that one?" And then eventually, after 4 goes, I realised they wanted me to say, "Yes, I am a FrightFest virgin." Okay, but because I got it wrong so many times, because I'd misheard this guy, I got really nervous. I just went to fucking pieces. And then I couldn't say, "Yes, I am a FrightFest virgin," because it became the worst tongue twister in the world. So I'm sure, I don't know where that stuff was going to be used, but mine is on the editing room floor somewhere, because it was shit. And then she said, "So what are your highlights so far?" I'm like, "Zombeavers and Dead Snow 2!" I sounded like the most highbrow person there. They wanted the douchebag who was like, "Oh yes, I love Calvert and Alleluia, they're simply amazing." I'm like, "No, Zombeavers, Dead Snow 2.
Oh, that's when I went to buy orange sherbet. Yeah. Because I came back and you were looking so uncomfortable because the guy was holding your ice cream and he was like,
I just bought ice cream, yeah.
Oh, we have to fight that. Someone somewhere, please.
No, I hope it never airs anywhere. I mean, at least, yeah. Oh, it's so embarrassing. I mean, I don't know what I said after that. I said, "Oh yeah, my first time here, I love it, blah, blah, blah," and the organisers, and then I just said all the cliched shit.
Yeah.
Because when I first stood there, I was going to be like really different and alternative, and just like, no, Zombeavers, Dead Snow 2.
I'd say if I'm watching the horror channel and you pop up on my screen, you've made it. That'd be the defining moment. Be like, "Oh my dear God, you made it on."
Being an absolute fuckwit as usual. I was like, I'll learn this sort of media thing one day, I swear. And what pissed me off the most, I did actually tweet Scott Sigler this. I said, "Great, fucking horror channel just interviewed me on the one day I'm not wearing a Little Pot of Horrors t-shirt. I'm wearing a fucking Agents of Sigler t-shirt. There's some promotional material for you, Mr. Sigler." Door swings both ways.
Yes.
I got my own back by shamelessly plugging us on his podcast the other week, so that was good.
But there you go. Yes.
He's never going to forgive me.
Oh, you wonderful, wonderful man, you. Okay.
Shameless is what
it is. Quite possibly. But we love you. Okay, well, I guess we should get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a pretty long show. But I knew it was going to be a long show going into it. And you guys should know better too.
Yeah.
And you guys being the listeners. So if anybody out there has seen any of the movies, or was at FrightFest, or has seen Mr. Bozzy's wonderful, possible mention on the horror channel, please email us at podofhorrors@simplysyndicated.com.
Yay.
Or tweet us at Pod of Horrors, or go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/the little Pod of Horrors. All that good fun stuff. It would be wonderful to hear from you. So please send in some feedback if you have it.
And get your competition entries in for Devil's Tower.
Yes.
We haven't set an end date.
Nope.
What we should say is this show's going out. The next show we're going to announce the winner. So whenever that is, the winner will be announced.
Returns.
Yes.
When Boz returns, we shall announce the winner.
Okay. So you've got a few weeks.
Yes. Boz is going to go off and do some stuff, and then hopefully in between that, I will be able to have another show out.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. So you've got, I'd say, from the date this goes out, I don't know, another month, maybe, to get your entries in.
It's going to take you a month to edit this shit.
Probably. Yeah. So November 2016 is when you've got to get your. No. We're not quite that bad. We may be, actually. Who knows? But yeah, just send your entries in, and we'll tell you if you've won or not. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to do it. If in doubt, email us.
And you've got all those extra goodies as well, so it's worth doing.
Some highbrow material
that
there.
Sounds awesome.
Yep.
So come on, Natalie. You know what you can do. Anyway, that's not true. We've got lots of different people. Hey, I'll be.
Don't want to pay the shipping to Australia again. Shut up.
Hey, no, I'm going to mention this quickly because I am just astounded by this. We haven't really pimped out the fact that we're on SoundCloud. I mean, we put this through iTunes and all those other podcasting things. But we are on SoundCloud.
Yes.
And because we're on Simply Syndicated, all their stuff's on SoundCloud too.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a large increase in listenership as a result, which is awesome. Thank you. Hope you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I've been looking at our stats, and I'm just fascinated by these stats. So I know there are people listening to us. Whether they listen to the entire show, I don't know.
It's probably the first 2 minutes they turn it off.
But if you're in the Philippines, if you're the listener in the Philippines and Pakistan, please email us.
Yeah.
Let us know. Hey, it's me. I'm the one that's listening.
Wicked.
Please. I think it's amazing. Our top countries, Egypt is number 4.
Really?
Yeah. I'm fascinated by that. And my wife thinks it's completely hilarious that I'm fascinated by that. And she's like, well, why? But yeah. I mean, I can see that we've been listened to in Tokyo, Japan.
Wicked.
Perth, Australia. Could that be you, Natalie? Is that you? You in Perth? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, these stats are really cool. Louisville, Kentucky, just down the road. I'm not sure if that's me clicking on it and I'm throwing the stats out. Well, that's what it's classing me. But yeah, I mean, we're all over. We are truly international. So we are. So thank you, Bolivia, Kuwait, Guatemala,
holy shit,
Malaysia, Finland.
Finland, obviously.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
we know who
Puerto
that
Rico.
is.
So I don't even know this place. Macau. There you go. Nigeria. Look at that. We're all over.
Be interested to know if you're in Finland and you're not called Marianne or Timo. Can you let me know? I'd be interested to know if there are other listeners there.
Well, that's what I'm really interested. If people, you're listening and you like it, you don't have to send in feedback. If you don't wish us to read it out, we don't have to read it out. But just a little, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
Liking or whatever. We have Mr. I think it's John or is it JD on Facebook who messages to say, hey, I'm listening, loving your stuff.
Yeah, welcome, sir. Thanks for the feedback.
Really great. Yes. It's been much appreciated.
Yeah, he lives down the road. Just go for a beer.
There you go. You made him a Scott Sigler fan as well, so there you go. Awesome. You are spreading the love. So, okay, I just had to mention that. Cool. That wasn't quite a plug for us on SoundCloud, but I thought it was very cool. We are being listened to. So, thank you both, and thank you, Matt, for coming back on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for coming to FrightFest with me.
Yes.
Thank you for saving me lots of money, Buzz.
Don't worry, mate. Sorry about the riding.
Hey, that was fun. It's the best way to see London. I will justify that.
I was very good. I didn't go over 80 miles an hour at once.
Apart from when you were trying to race that BMW at one point. Oh no. Apart from when Boz was obeying the speed limit, it was awful. I kept on trying to get so fast to go faster, but he was very, very sensible.
Good. That's what we like. Okay, and on that bombshell, we should do all the usual. Go listen to simplysyndicated.com/shows, and they will find lots of shows on Simply Syndicated there.
Yep.
Subscribe to Simply Everything so you can hear all the back catalogue of movies you should see, Make It So, lots of other ones.
There may be some little teaser trailers appearing as well at the moment.
Yes, I have just listened to one not that long ago for a certain show.
Which maybe or maybe not be coming back. It depends if we get it done before the wedding.
A typical Here Goes Nothing style.
Nothing changes.
So yes, look out for that. So be sure you go check out that. And if you're not a Simply Syndicated listener yet, go check out. Lots of stuff to look at.
Yeah.
Especially within the Federation as well.
Something for everyone.
Yes, definitely. So now we will definitely leave. So thank you again, Mr. Balls, for a fun show.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matt, for coming on yet again.
Thank you.
And until next time, bye-bye.
Goodbye. That's my Viagra. If you would like to get in touch with the show,
please send an email to
podofhorrors@simplysyndicated.com.
Tweet @podofhorrors.
Or visit the Facebook group.
Facebook.com/The Little Pod of Horrors.
Also, make sure to check out our blog
at thelittlepodofhorrors.com
for updates,
polls,
and other thoughts on how Ron Gordon is. Other thoughts on the horror genre.
Thank you.
I told you, no more sword fights. The rumours will spread.
And I feel like everybody else has gone. I love my Wi-Fi. No, I don't. I really want to change it, but Infinity doesn't exist here, so I'm going to try and call them back now. Hello, Gordon. Hope you're enjoying the edit.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
I don't know what happened there.
That's Skype.
I love it, don't you?
It's been breaking up since we started. It was fine until we started recording, and then